15 plus years in the game. It's really clear that you guys have a passion for telling the story and highlighting these athletes.
We do put in quite a bit of time, not just talking to the fighters, but Todd and I sit in a hotel room and we watch fights. At the end of the day, it's all about storytelling. It's all about talking about the fighters. And I've said this to you a million times as a commentator, I think I do my job best when nobody knows who I am.
After you got engaged, didn't like a lot of people like unfollow you and
A
stuff?
lot of people unfollowed me. I was actually assuming it's because of the ring.
It's because you annoyed them about medicals, that's why.
I think it's a good mixture of both, John.
20 matches. What went into the matchmaking for this?
A lot of strategizing with the team just as far as what matches kind of made sense. We just been doing these mega shows, so I'm just trying to get the best talent in Southern California and all over the place, but mainly Southern California right now, and just getting them on one card. And this card, it came out great.
All right, guys, I am super fucking stoked right now.
Why are you super stoked? Just
coming off UNF 21, one of our best shows ever, 20 fights, John. What did you think?
I'm at a loss for words, and that never happens, but 20 fights, every single one of them was absolutely more spectacular than the next. The matchmaking was on point. The fighters came up and they showed out. Not only that, but the crowd was absolutely electric.
Wait, you said the matchmaking was on point. Who did a better job matchmaking, George or Ryan?
Wait.
And you've got to pick somebody. Who did a better job matchmaking? Was it the Rising Stars or was it the pros? Because to me, I couldn't notice a difference between the Rising Stars fights and most of the pros fights. Well, I thought they were all amazing.
I can't say which matchmaker is better. I'll just say that
Yes,
they
you
were.
can, John. I might just get a rose gold watch after this if you want to wear it sometimes.
I will say though, it was absolutely on point, both of them.
Shirel,
thank you.
Do you think Ryan deserves a rose gold Rolex watch for that matchmaking?
I definitely think so. I think it was one of the best UNF shows so far.
Yeah, Shirel, we'll talk about a raise after this podcast. Yeah,
But Shirel, why was it one of the best events in your opinion? What do you think?
Like you said, it was just getting better fight after fight. There was not a boring fight.
yeah. We'll get into the whole card, but I'm gonna give that one to George, just because I think there was one fight on the card, in a card full of great fights. That was probably the best fight in UNF history. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but Tommy Aaron versus John, can you pronounce his name for me? I just can't.
Batsumro Dagvado.
There you go. The Mongolian, but the Mongolian is such a beast.
Yeah.
Tommy Aaron brought it, but that fight was back and forth the whole time.
Both fighters from Dragon House brought it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, Giano was fucking great. Lucci was fucking great. I don't know. It was just an amazing night of fights.
I will say this though, and this kind of reflects on the amateur matchmaking in a sense to the pro matchmaking. The Aaron Batsumro Dagvadoch fight is sort of an unknown. You don't know who that guy is coming in. He's 7-2 and he's got hands,
Right.
But you don't know how he's going to show up against a guy like Tommy Aaron. And that kind of the same point with the amateurs. It's got to be really tough, Ryan. When you have amateurs that you don't know a lot about and you got to put them up against a guy who you do know a lot about. So it's kind of like a rolling the dice, but you seem to come up craps every time.
Yeah,
brother.
no, that is very true, right? Especially the guys who are maybe debuting or only have one fight and there's no stream of their fight or whatever. Yeah. But I really do my best to get any knowledge I can on these fighters and to know their fight styles, because I do take pride truly in trying to make the best matches, exciting matches for the fans and what the fighters really deserve. So sometimes I am rolling the dice, but I do everything I can, to try to match the right guys up to get that perfect fight, that UNF magic that we do create. But yeah, sometimes I am rolling the dice.
Shirel, let's talk about the electricity in the room that night, right? How was the electricity in the room during those fights?
No, it was crazy. I was seeing posters for some fighters. When I was interviewing them, there was like a crowd of like 40 people surrounding, recording us, taking pictures.
Kind of felt like you're at like a big time basketball game or something, like people having like the signs and everything.
Well, Shirel's becoming like semi-famous. I mean, you with your interviews of the fights and everything you got going on. Like that night, and don't tell us who, but did you have a favorite interview that night?
I had a couple. There was a couple really good ones.
Okay, tell us who was your favorite interview.
All right, who was your favorite interview? Let's get there.
There was a couple. I liked the one with Seth Coleman. He was funny.
Why would you refer to him as Seth? That is knife face.
Knife
face.
Knife face. You're right. Knife face was a good one. He hugged me, got all this sweat all over me.
And you didn't like that on you?
It was sticky.
Little like, icky?
It was icky.
Dude, every time I go, first of all the fights, not all the fights, but most of the fights were bloody. Yeah,
Yes.
21.
Wow.
Back and forth wars. So I go in there, I go give my awards, I'm shaking all the guys' hands, giving them hugs. Number one, every time I give them a hug, I get sweat on my face, on my shirt, all that. But this time, every time I give someone a handshake or a hug, there was just blood, like here or here. I'm like, well, I love these guys, so it's okay. But all the time, man.
What do you guys think? Was that our bloodiest event yet? I mean, that was a pretty good one. That kind of reminded me of the Brian Dow, Anthony Romero fight.
I don't know.
That night, that was a lot of blood too.
I got to give it to the Dow Romero fight because the mouthpiece came flying into our notes. I was absolutely speckled with crimson. I still can't wear the same suit, by the way, because it just won't come clean. But yeah, I think the Dow Romero fight was probably the bloodiest, but a very close second, I would say. A very close second.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So a fight like that, when the mouthpiece comes flying at the commentary booth, like what are your initial thoughts? Like, does it throw you off a little bit, or you're just like, oh, this is like added? You know, like what were you thinking when the mouthpiece just comes flying at your face as you're calling the fight?
Opportunity. That's
there
what
you
I'm
go.
thinking.
I like it.
I'm thinking, get the camera over here, buddy. I want to show you what
John and Todd on the call made the best of that. It was just fucking amazing.
As they always do.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
No, you go first.
I want to
No, keep talking about me. Keep talking about me.
I want to go into a little bit like building that monster card. I mean, we ended up with 20 fights, but there was so much that went in to making this card. Shirel is, which is amazing. Shirel is our fighter relations manager, only 20 years old, the youngest lady in the business doing what you do, Shirel. How hard was it to chase these guys, get their medicals, the licensing, and getting everything put together so we can even have this event?
Yeah, with the pros especially, it's very rare I find the ones that listen to me right away and get it done. Most of the time I'm chasing after them and I'm texting them every other day. I know they're sick of me. But yeah, it's pretty hard to get them to do their stuff, but for the most part, it was pretty easy, this event.
Yeah, and you do a great job. But do you ever think there's a time where they're going to stop calling you bro or call you sir?
Oh my God.
You're bro and
They
sir?
refer to me as sir and bro all the time. I don't want to correct them.
She
So I'm
looks
just
at the
like,
office like, why are they calling me sir? I'm like,
You kind of do look like a sir. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there.
Shirel.
Sure. So on this card, who was the most difficult fighter that you had to like chase down to get everything done?
I don't know. They were all pretty tough, but Tommy Aaron was really, really quick. I sent him his blood work. He went next day. So he was pretty easy. That's why.
Look, Tommy's a veteran, a pro. He's done bare knuckle MMA. I mean, he's got a great pedigree. But that's not what I asked you. Who was the worst Shirel? Come on. Who did you have to chase? Who was like annoying you and made you become a stalker?
Shirel's just so nice and you're making her be mean right now.
Put the spotlight on her.
I could be mean. I love Cisco, but it was pretty hard to get his results. I mean, he got the test done. Just send me the results already,
But that is Cisco. Cisco always waits till the last minute, right?
But there's times he answers me. Like I'll text him. He'll answer me a minute later. And then when I ask for the results, it's like days and days. I'm like, you just answered me so quick. But
listen, I'm sure
that's a part of it.
So Sahar was here recently and I talked to him. He's like, yeah, like, when Shirel texts us from medical, sometimes like I know me and most of the fighters are like this. Like sometimes we just look at it and we don't want to deal with it. And but so what's it like though, right? If a fighter doesn't respond to you that same day, do you follow up the next day? Do you follow up 3 times in one day? Do you really annoy the shit out of them to get the medicals done? Or what do you do?
Depends how much I've annoyed them already. If I feel like, okay, I've annoyed you too much, I'll wait 2 days. But if I feel like I haven't annoyed you enough, then I'll just text you the next day.
You gotta do what
Do
you
you pull the same shit on your fiance? Like if he's not doing what you want him to do you annoy him and stalk him too a little bit?
Sometimes.
Okay. Got it. Ryan, making the matches, 20 matches. What went into the matchmaking for this?
You know what? A lot of strategizing with the team just as far as what matches kind of made sense. I think we have 3 Rising Stars title fights, all great fights. A couple guys on the card that are going to be looming for a title fight that, number 1 contender fights on the card.
Yeah.
And we just been doing these mega shows, so I'm just trying to get the best talent in Southern California and all over the place, but mainly Southern California right now, and just getting them on one card. And it's a tough job at times, but honestly, it's one of my favorite things to do. And this card came out great.
What do you guys say? You guys want to get into the fights?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's get into it. All right, let's start from the top though. I think I memorized the bout order, by the way. I don't even need to look at the sheets that we have. Diego Sanchez, Jalen Johnson. First round rear naked choke for Diego Sanchez. Both debut fighters. Came out, looked like he had a couple fights under his belt. Looked like he had some experience. What'd you guys think about that?
Yeah.
I mean, that power double leg in the first round, that was not an amateur double leg. That was timed perfectly. He drove him to the mat. And I say this all the time in the commentary. You got to maintain position before going for submission or for ground and pound. And he did that extremely well. He maintained the position.
Yeah.
His opponent did a great job of trying to get back to his feet, but Diego just snuffed out every sweep. And then that was a wrap.
I think it's a perfect example of striker versus grappler, right?
Yeah.
And this is one of those fights where the grappler took it.
Yeah. Sorry. I actually have a funny story about Diego too. So,
Oh, let's hear this one.
I have to reach out to these fighters to get all their information to get to production. So we have a smooth, great show. We know all their information. So I hit Diego like three times for his trunk colors. Never responded. So I got on the phone with him like, hey, Diego, I really need your trunk colors. I got to get over to production. He's like, I don't know what color they are. I'm like, what, you don't have your trunk colors yet? He's like, no, I do. I'm just colorblind. It was kind of funny. He was answering me. And I was like, okay, just tell me what you think they are. We'll switch it that way if we need to.
Well, that just goes into like Shirel, like there's so much work that has to be done, right? Like we got to get these guys for production for the show to run right, John, right? Trunk color, who their corners are, their walkout music. Like there's so much that goes into this that I don't think people realize.
I don't know. It's a lot.
Everybody thinks they can promote fights until they actually try it.
Yeah, no,
Listen, like I think when we first started getting this business, I didn't realize how big of a shit show, promoting MMA is or promoting combat sports, right, Shirel? What do you think?
I agree. All these texts that I'm doing with these fighters, like it fills up my whole phone. I need a new phone for this. I don't know.
A rose gold phone, maybe?
Rose gold.
Rose gold?
Let's start with the watch and then we'll get over to the phone.
All right. Yeah, but one fight that, and I know I'm kind of jumping back, that didn't end up happening that night was Hamza Trad versus Brian Schell.
Let's talk about that a little bit, right? Like,
Yeah.
So we talked about the matchmaking. We talked about Shirel having to do the medicals, all that stuff. Also, we had to promote the fight. But then you got weigh-ins and you got some last-minute things that always pop up and change. And, fighters got to get medically cleared and they got to weigh him at the right weight class. So this last fight, 2 fights fell off at the weigh-ins in one same day. One fight fell off because one of the fighters, Nico Tilla, missed weight by 4 pounds. And sometimes that could, certain fights could throw off a card and just cause a headache and cause this ruckus and everything. But that is the good thing about having 20 fights on the card is when one does fall out, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah. I think I feel for these fighters, right? Cutting weight and being prepared to come in there. I mean, there's a big challenge in making that happen. But, the bummer for us was, Hamza Trad came in, made weight. Brian Schell came in, made weight. Brian did not look good at weigh-ins, and it turns out that he had the flu or food poisoning or something. He got sick, so he didn't show up on fight day, which is a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah, no, definitely is a bummer. I think it's it's all part of the game. And what can you do? I learned this game you got to just actually really roll with the punches.
Well,
it's a fight game, but you really have to roll with the punches.
Talking about rolling with the punches, Schmo was there, supposed to be doing the ceremonial weigh-ins, the announcing. Schmo got busy filming some content, and so Ryan had to step in and do the fight announcements. What did you think of that, Shirel?
I thought it was pretty good. Ryan did a great job.
Are you fucking just saying that just because you want a raise from Ryan? Yeah, you're shooting for the
coming
raise.
to the scale out of the blue corner. Shirel Biton.
No, but John, what did you think?
Okay.
Were you able to hear Ryan making those announcements?
Yeah, I thought he did fine. Yeah, I thought you did really
Fine.
well. Yeah.
That's not a glowing. That's not a glowing review, John. Fine.
I've done it before, and I know how kind of nerve-wracking that can
Well,
be.
if you know me,
Because everybody's family's there, like watching you, and it's not like being on a camera. You know what I mean?
I just felt like I had to step up. But if you know me, I hate that kind of this podcast I like.
He made
certain
me do the first one.
I never thought in a million years I'd see Kris up there doing
No, I don't want to do that.
I would think he would do it before me, though. Well, he did it. But
I did it, but Ryan did the right thing, right? He stepped up, says, "I'll take over from here," which I honestly, bro, as a dad, I was super proud of you. Shirel, what does it feel like when you go up there and hold the belt? When we put you on the spot and you got to stand back there with the belt. Do you like that or do you not like it?
My head is don't drop the belt. It's so heavy. My shoulders, I'm like it's slipping out of my hand.
Shirel gets so nervous, like she'll look to the side of me, like, "Can I step down now? Can I let it go? Like, what do I do?"
What's so crazy, Shirel, about you is like, you're the fighter relations manager. You do a great job behind the scenes with that, but you also do a lot of the social with Miriam and the rest of the team. And I don't think people realize how shy you really are. Like you do well up here and you do great on social, but you're really a shy person.
I'm really a shy person. I try to cover it up as much as I can, but sometimes it comes out.
She's 100% sweating right now, by the way.
No, I mean, she is sweating. But look, I'm super proud of you because you get up there and you do it. But has it taken a lot of work? I mean, working in MMA, this is a male sort of dominated sport, and working with these athletes and the respect that you have gotten from these guys is pretty impressive. Has it gotten easier for you, or is it?
It has gotten way easier. I remember starting and I was filming something with Miriam and I was like, we can't, Ryan's near us. Like, he's 20 feet away from us. We need to go outside and film this. Like, I was so scared, but now I'm like, Ryan, can you film this for me? Like, I just feel more comfortable in front of the camera.
Yeah, and I think that social is such an important part of what we do. I mean, we can run a great show, but if we don't do, these great social interviews like at the event and leading up to the event, we don't have that much content to put out there.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's, you can see that with our social that we do take as a big part. And, respectfully, I think our social blows everyone else's out of the water.
Oh,
that's being humble, to be honest. But it's because we put a lot into it. We got Miriam, we got Shirel on the videos and everything.
What I always think is the funniest thing is when people like in the comments always try to compare you to Nina. Like, oh, they're trying to be Nina and all this stuff.
But it's a compliment.
Oh, Nina's a rock star, man. Like, she does a great job. But no, I'm super stoked. Like, our social kills everybody.
You remember Shirel? So I met Shirel probably right when we started UNF or whatever, and we were kind of looking to bring someone on board.
Yeah.
And guys, Shirel's very young. She was 17 at the time or 18. I'm not even sure.
I think I was like 18.
But I'm friends with her older sister. But we used to go hang out at one of the friends' house, like the mutual friend. She'd always come there like 9 p.m. I'm like, why are you always coming here so late? I would also get there around 8 p.m. or whatever. She's like, well, I go to school, I go to the gym, I do the babysit, like all these things. And we were looking for someone that was hardworking. She was about to finish school. I was like, you know what? You should probably come work with us. So like the first week, I taught her how the camera database worked, everything. And then now you're doing medicals, tickets, social media. Yeah, Shirel,
don't let it go to your head. But for someone at your age to have your work ethic and your drive and desire, you're amazing. And you're a huge, valuable part of this team. And I think that's one thing too that people don't understand how deep the UNF team really is. Like, we're very blessed.
I think we're done talking about good stuff about Shirel now. What are we getting?
Yeah, let's move on.
All right, let's go back to the fights. So,
move on from the Nina wannabe.
The next fight we'll talk about is, John, I'm going to need your help pronouncing a name again, but Christian Franco versus Amir Rezi
Abdul Rahimi.
And Kris, before we get into the fight, can you show the clip of them real quick?
Ooh, what a fight this one was. Everybody needs to go and watch this pay-per-view.
Oh, 100%.
See this freaking fight. This fight alone is worth paying whatever the pay-per-view cost.
Oh, 100%. I think we should actually add $10 on top now.
Probably.
Increase it a bit.
I think
Here we go. This is just 30 seconds of the fight, but
this fight was like, John, like back and forth the whole time, all 3 rounds, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, when we were talking on commentary, I really liked the arsenal that Abdul Rahimi was displaying, but as you can see, he's doing it while going backwards. And when you do that, you kind of leave open the attack for your opponent to bring it to you. I was hoping that he would move forward a little bit more, but Christian Franco, he had his feet on the gas pedal the entire time, and hats off to him.
And the volume from Christian. I mean, listen, guys, this is only the second fight of the night, which I think was great because it set the tone, the atmosphere for that night. But,
Listen, the first fight was great. This was a second fight, right? And what was great, I mean, you look at the seating, that was the second fight, not a ton of people that were there yet. But by the end of the night, or not even the end of the night, that place was freaking packed. I mean, definitely another sellout.
Yeah, definitely was. And I mean, if you look at like even a UFC event, right? Like the first 5-6 fights, the arena looks empty. I think actually the arena kind of filled up even sooner than I thought it would. So we had a great turnout. But yeah, that being those guys, Amir Rezi's debut fight, Christian Franco, his third fight, but the arsenal of strikes they were putting together, the back and forth, being able to take a shot, not giving up, because you see a lot with certain amateurs, like, it's where they learn. And those guys had so many times each to quit in that fight, and neither one showed any, like 1 ounce of quit, and you could tell they both really wanted it.
Yeah, the door was open for either one of them to kind of pull back, and neither one of them did. We always talk about, what would happen if a freight train and an 18-wheeler met at full speed. Well, that's just what happened in that fight. Both those guys were dreams tied to a horse that'll never tire, and they met in the center of the cage and just beat the hell out of each other.
And I got an announcement also just regarding that fight. That fight will be considered, well, it won one of the fight of the nights.
Oh, one of the fight of the nights. Yes. So there are going to be 2 fight of the nights.
Oh, there could have been like 16, but we're gonna leave out 2. No, but that fight, I mean, you guys just saw the short clip, but we were there for the full fight. They definitely deserved it, and there's no way I couldn't give them fight of the night.
Yeah, I mean, really, both of these guys deserve that, Ryan. I think Amarizi was a little bummed that he lost, but I mean, I don't think when you're involved in a fight like that, your stock does not go down.
No, especially as competitors. I mean, we all hate losing, right? It's tough, and I think it's a good thing to feel that, right? To not feel good about when you don't get a W, but his coach actually hit me up and was saying how down he was because, he fought his heart out and everything. And not to come up short kind of sucks, but I told him, let him know, man, like, he gained so much experience. He went total. This was his debut fight also, right? Like, debut fight to put on that kind of show, man, you have nothing to be sad about. And it's really a win in my eyes for him. But again, competitors, when it's announced a loss, it's hard to take at times.
And coming from his background, he's Iranian. His mother still lives in Iran. He was very, very vocal in the pre-fight interview. He's like, please make sure that my mom knows I'm going to see her soon. He didn't say I'm going to win this, that, or he's like, I just want to see my mom. So coming from his background, I think he's had a lot of adversity in his life. This is nothing for him.
One thing I want to say that I think is really cool and special about Up Next, right? I mean, having Shirel as a fighter relations manager, taking care of medicals, licensing, and doing all that. But what's amazing, John, is you and Todd and the commentary team. The time you guys take, you come to weigh-ins, you interview these guys, and you really effectively tell their story on the broadcast, which I think is hugely important. And you really take the time to make sure you pronounce their names properly. And I think that's just another level of respect that Up Next tries to show these athletes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think, I think we're the big show for the regional show, but as far as the regional show go, you will never find a commentary team that cares as much or is as good as John, Todd, the Schmo, and everyone else that kind of works.
Yeah, and I think that's why I think it's so important that the fighters take the time to come to Content Day, that they take the time to sit down and get these interviews, do the social interviews with Shirel and Mears, and really do that because it allows us to have these mega shows, right? And when you come to a show like ours, the atmosphere is so electric. It runs like a well-oiled machine, even though it's a complete shit show behind the scenes, right, guys? But on the outside looking in, people think we're doing special stuff.
You sometimes have to pull teeth from these fighters, especially when they're cutting weight. They're not really looking to talk. Like a perfect example was Victor Rosas. He had a tough cut. His beard and his hood was on. He wasn't talking much. And then we asked him about his family. And when we asked him about, fight, what about this? He was yes, no. And then when we said, what about your mom and dad? He started getting choked up because his dad's sick. So he was like, I just want my dad to know that we're fighters. We fight, so you kind of got to find your way in to get to the fighter's heart, and sometimes they're very forthcoming and outpour everything, like Seth Coleman, Knife Face. He'll tell you everything.
What a great story.
But then you have fighters that are very reserved that you kind of got to pull it out of them. But once you do, man, those stories can be really beautiful.
Yeah, but I think one cool thing, and this is not like a pat UNF on the back, but we've assembled a really great team of really good, thank you, go give it to me, right? No, of really great people that are truly invested in care. That is, I think, truly the difference. I mean, you're not here for a paycheck, John.
No.
Right? I know Shirel's not here for a paycheck, and Ryan doesn't even get a paycheck. So, no, but I mean, you guys are truly invested in this. You've got 15 plus years in the game. Todd's got the same thing in the game, and it's really clear that you guys have a passion for telling the story and highlighting these athletes. And I think that's what really, again, sort of sets us apart from some of our, especially on the regional scene, some of our quote unquote competition.
I really appreciate that because, we do put in quite a bit of time, not just talking to the fighters, but Todd and I sit in a hotel room and we watch fights. We watch clips come back. We try to pick up tendencies. We try to pick up whatever we can bring to the table because, at the end of the day, it's all about storytelling. It's all about talking about the fighters. And I've said this to you a million times as a commentator. I think I do my job best when nobody knows who I am. Because it's not about me. It's about the fighters.
Yep.
And if I can do that and someone says, wow, who is that commentator? Then I'm like, yeah.
Well, listen, I think you guys do a better job storytelling than almost anyone, right? I mean, I think when you do watch the UFC, and they're the big show, right?
For sure.
They do a decent job. They know about these fighters, but I think we're a very close second as far as telling these guys stories, making those connections with them and really knowing them. Because a lot of these guys, especially the rising stars with 1 or 2 fights, they're not really out there on social media. They don't do other interviews. So when people hear about them is when you guys are talking about them and you guys know a lot about them and you guys get the story out there that they want. So I think that's so important.
And I think one of the major differences between us and the big show is like at the UFC, they have a whole week.
Oh, fuck yeah. They have a whole team. They have research analysts.
They've got millions of dollars. Yeah.
And the fighters are forced to sit down. We don't hold a gun to anybody's head if they don't want to sit down.
That's what I'm saying. With the resources we have and it's just like my dad said, I mean, we have an amazing team. We all come together to try to do this and do it the best way we can. And with the resources we have and, the size of show we are right now, we fucking, I think we kill it.
It's not even close. Like other people have said, so-and-so's competition. There is no competition for us. There are other organizations that may have dates close to us, but they don't do what we do. It's not even close.
Well, look, they don't have a Shirel.
They don't
have a Shirel.
They don't have a Shirel.
They don't have a Shirel. I'm the one that works with her all day. You know what's so funny? Shirel's getting so big-headed now. So when we brought her on, I used to call her my assistant I thought was cool. I had an assistant now that she does so many things, I'll be like, hey, this is Shirel, my assistant. She's like, don't call me that ever again.
I hate the word assistant.
I hate it too.
I fucking hate it.
I never even really used it, but then I started messing with her a little bit, and she does not like it, and so I keep doing it.
Yeah. No, one thing I want to kind of go back to, I think when we started Up Next, and when we put all this effort into content day, social media, and all this, we really believe that we owe the fighters nothing less. Ryan and I have always said that we owe them nothing less, Shirel, right? I mean, if these guys are getting in that cage, Shirel, and risking it all, putting it out there, don't they deserve everything that we do?
They do. They deserve everything we do.
Yeah.
All right, back to fights, guys. You guys are getting boring. So, next fight, one of my favorite fights on the card: Daryl Westfall versus Seth Knife Face Coleman. John, what was it like cage side watching that fight?
It was a back and forth war. I mean, Seth Coleman, this guy, he doesn't have a reverse. You know what I mean? He turns the key and it's drive, first gear, second gear. There is no reverse or neutral. So he just keeps going forward. And, credit to Daryl Westfall. I think he only had one fight before this, but when you have a guy who's just coming after you, it's very difficult to execute a game plan because we talk about it in the broadcast, the fight turned into a Donnybrook or it turned into a brawl, and he did a very good job of boxing the brawler. He didn't come out on top in the fight, but he did a very good job of boxing the brawler.
Shout out to Knife Face too, because that first round, I don't know if the fans could see it or look like that on pay-per-view, but Daryl was catching him with some clean counters, really crisp punches. And Knife Face did not take a step back either, though. He kept coming forward, and then as the fight went on, he started attacking mid, attacking high, and just a different approach.
Almost think Knife Face is and he's improved since his last fight, but I almost think Knife Face just actually dogged it out even more. Knife Face seems to have this motivation behind him, like he's fighting for something bigger, Shirel. What was your thought when you interviewed him?
I don't know.
I don't
Getting
know.
shy right now.
Chris. I don't know when I interviewed Knife Face.
I think it's, Seth has a great and amazing story, and I think he fights for a lot. He lost his brother a little while ago. I don't know how long ago, but lost his brother, and every time he does tell a story or anything, he brings that up, and I feel like he's fighting for his brother.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's in recovery also, so he's got a really good story. But I mean, he is the nicest guy. And if looks are deceiving, I think Knife Face, the looks are deceiving. Looks like this hardened dude, tats on his face everywhere. Super, super great guy.
And the crazy thing, so is his opponent.
Daryl,
the nicest guys. All right, well, hold on, Chris. Can we watch the two nicest guys in UNF throw down for a quick 30 seconds?
Yeah.
And this one could have kind of been fight of the night too. It was up there.
Look at them, they're both marked
This
up.
is the start of the third round.
Look at the blood. Yeah.
Look at these guys, man.
Scheduled Knife Face program, just applying the pressure.
Oh my God. Look at that volume.
Boy, Coleman throwing with a ton of volume.
Shout out to production.
Guys. You gotta think
And look at Daryl Westfall just sitting back and throwing in return.
I love Daryl. And Daryl is just down to put on a show for the audience, man.
They just threw punches, by the way, for 20 seconds straight without stopping. You know how tiring that actually is, though?
God, yeah.
20 seconds straight without stopping while getting punched in the face.
I don't think Ryan could throw punches for about 3 seconds, John. So 20 seconds, that's a big deal. Oh,
I don't think I could do half that, but
No, I think you could. But yeah, that fight was also almost a fight of the night.
But this is part of the problem of UNF, right? And caring. Yeah, I get that UNF's a business, but I'm personally invested in these guys. I like both those guys. I hate that someone has to lose. How do you feel about that, Shirel?
That is the one thing I always tell people. The bad part about this is that I connect with everybody. I'm always texting, spamming these fighters before the fight, and I really connect with them. And then someone has to lose, and I'm like, I just close my eyes. I don't want to watch it. On some fights, I turned around. I'm like, I was talking to Jojo. I'm like, just tell me who loses. I don't want to watch this. It's tough. It's sad.
Yeah.
But it's the game.
It is the game.
Yeah, John, how do you feel about it?
I think in the amateur division, I think it's win or learn, to be honest with you. Everybody gets to start over when they go pro. They get their record. I mean, you can't change your name to get a different record. That's another story. But
Have you changed your name, John?
no, but there was a fighter who once told a matchmaker, I'm going to come back to the States with a different name, so I'm 0-0.
He must have the lopsided record, I'm guessing.
We're like, that's not the way it works, buddy.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think in the amateur division, it's win or learn. I think, especially like a fight we just watched, how can you call Double Barrel Daryl a loser in that fight?
Right.
You know what I mean? He's anything but, you know what I
Total
mean?
class act.
So I think in the amateur division, more so than the pros, like Shirel said, in the pros, losses hurt a little bit more, especially because your paycheck's involved. But for amateurs, I think it's more about the learning experience and, what more learning experience for Daryl Westfall than putting in 3 rounds with Seth Nice-Face Coleman.
Exactly. I think Daryl, right? He could look himself in the mirror. He gave it his all.
Yeah.
It was a good, great fight, competitive fight, and he didn't give up once in there, right? Like there's nothing to look at and be like, with myself, if I could look myself in the mirror and say, I did everything I could or I should have, I came up a little short. All right, go get it next time. But when I look myself in the mirror, maybe I didn't give it my all. Or that's when that's why I really feel like I lost and I didn't do what I was supposed to do.
My favorite picture of the night is you and Daryl taking the picture by Adam, just pointing out Daryl's face is all fucked up, but he's got this biggest smile on his face.
And
Like, he
that's
enjoyed
another
that.
thing about Daryl is he basically got attacked. I mean, Seth
did.
Coleman came across like a bear.
Are you trying to put a case on Seth Coleman?
No, I'm just trying to say he came like a bear looking for his lunch. You know what I mean? And Daryl Westfall did a good job of standing up to a bear who was hungry. And you can't call somebody like that a loser. You just can't.
No, Ryan, what's next for Knife Face? I mean, you got any plans for him or?
Well, listen, I think Knife Face, he has the personality, he has the fighting skills.
Yeah.
He's now 2-1 as a rising star. I think he's been, two pretty decent guys. Like, so maybe his next fight could potentially be like a number 1 contender fight.
Listen, one thing I like about Knife Face too is like he's branding himself, right? Like he's building his brand. He's in the cage having exciting fights that the fans are just loving. But behind the scenes, he's a rapper. He's doing music. He's making Knife Face stickers and tattoos.
I saw that one doing. I was
do it?
waiting for mine. I saw Miriam got hers. I was like,
I want to
"Where's
see a
mine?"
knife face tattoo on sure.
Maybe that's what we should do for the next event. Everyone have Knife Face tattoos. I don't know.
We could do that.
Yeah, I think so.
cool.
But that wouldn't be showing any favoritism, or we'd be good with that.
I think everyone's pretty cool with Knife Face.
Yeah.
I don't think people.
Knife Face is kind of like Danny LaBastida, right? In a way. Danny is still the people's champ.
Fighter that told me he kind of wants to fight Knife Face a little bit.
Who wants to fight
I
Knife
don't know if I
Face?
should keep it secret or not.
Shirel, should he tell?
I think you should tell.
Yeah, I think you should tell.
Come on. It's all free game on the podcast.
Sahar Guetta is like kind of down to fight Knife Face.
Ooh, I kind of
think
like
could be-
that fight.
It could be a pretty cool fight.
Yeah.
Pretty cool fight. So.
Yeah, but the problem, you know what Sahar is going to do?
What's Sahar gonna do?
What's Sahar going to do?
No, tell me. I don't know.
I actually, at first I liked that fight, but now I don't. Anybody know why I don't like that fight?
I'm curious.
No, we're waiting for you to tell
Sahar's
us.
going to wrestle him.
Sahar's not a wrestler.
Yeah, but he's going to wrestle him. I guarantee it.
Well, I mean,
You really think that's if I'm Sahar, that's what I'm doing with Knife Face. I'm grabbing, get him against cage, bringing him down and
I think
smashing.
Knife Face, you have to be able to control the pace in there.
have you guys ever been to Estes Park, Colorado, like up in the mountains?
Nope. Never.
They have signs that say, if you encounter a mountain lion, wrestle it to the ground. That's exactly what you're supposed to do to Seth Coleman. You're supposed to wrestle him.
I think we may see a different fight than what you guys are saying. I think some wrestling will be involved, but I do think some they would trade some blows for sure.
You think so?
I don't think Sahar's game plan would be to go in there and get him against the cage.
Sahar's an entertaining fighter too, so I really like it if they stand toe to toe.
I think Sahar
it
will
would
throw
be
those
fun.
power shots, and Seth will definitely have the volume in that fight, and I think it'd actually be a pretty interesting one.
Sahar's got hands, man.
Yeah, he actually wants to go down to 145 too, which I don't know how he's going to do, but he's telling me he could do it.
Yeah, because he's been fighting at 55, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. Can you make 45?
we shall
Way to find out.
Woo! All right, what's next, Ryan?
Okay, well, next one.
Ooh.
I want to talk about Tony Diaz-Cervo versus Anthony Romero. That fight was I was looking forward to that fight a lot. And Diaz-Cervo 4-1, Anthony Romero 5-2, coming down from up north at Halo BJJ. And two guys are ready to probably either fight for an Emmy title soon or go pro, one of the two. So I was very excited about that fight. Kris, can we play the clip from Diaz-Cervo and Anthony Romero?
Yeah.
His karate pedigree in the MMA.
This clip is not very long, by the way.
Diaz-Cervo say, is it in slow-mo?
Distance and maintaining that range. Fighting over your feet.
I feel for Diaz-Cervo, though. I mean, listen, I knew he was fighting a really tough guy.
Yeah.
From Diaz-Cervo tonight.
Oh yeah, he's intelligent, all right. Look at the way he comes into shape to this. Looks like a superhero, this kid.
Yeah, listen to John. Oh my Lord!
John, you practice that shit? Like, I can picture John, right, Shirel? Like, John gets out of the shower and he's in front of the mirror in his towel. Oh my Lord!
No, and it's completely organic. I don't know where it came from. I have no idea. It just started happening. When I grew up, I used to watch a lot of baseball, and Phil Rizzuto for the Yankees used to say, "Holy cow!" every time someone hit a home run. So I guess I kind of got it from that. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know.
I honestly love watching the fight. So with your and Todd's commentary, I love how hype you are. Like when I hear that, I love it.
Oh, and
It
that's
just
genuine
adds to
too.
it.
Like I literally sometimes jump out of my seat. Like sometimes I have to stand up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's weird. It's almost like we're part of it. You know what I mean? Like we're invested in it. And when you get that big shot or whatever, it's like huge dividend. You know?
When you were doing your studying for the fight and studying about these fighters, did you vision it going that way potentially? Like, do you see that as a?
Honestly, I thought it was going to be striker versus wrestler. I thought Romero was going to, go after the legs, try to bring Tony down.
Maybe he was going to be honest. But the first shot that landed just.
Yeah, I mean, they say you're supposed to set up your takedown with your hands, but he didn't really need to. That left hand, oh my God, that would have knocked out a rhinoceros.
Yeah, that one hurt me a little bit because I'm a big fan of Tony. He's just as a human being, super great, nice guy. I mean, he handled that defeat like a class act. But Anthony was so happy. The energy after his win, he was on cloud nine. And I think he had something to prove. He was coming down from Fresno, California. Tony's one of the golden children down here in LA, top prospect, taking on
other fighters hate when they see, because Tony Diaz-Cervo is like a select few within the fight game. When you're a fighter, you also model and you act.
Yeah.
The other figers hate that shit. So when they get their hit,
Pretty boy.
yeah, when they get matched up with you, they have something.
Oh, you should see some of the comments. Model boy, go back to modeling. Doing all this, but
like those are all people. Maybe some of them are fighters, maybe some of them aren't. But I know Tony Diaz is a great fighter.
Yeah,
he'll be back, and he fought another tough guy, and sometimes it just goes down that way. But shout out to Anthony Romero because to show up. I'm sure this is the biggest show he's ever fought on with the brightest lights, and he showed up and showed out. So.
Yeah,
I got an idea for matchmaking. We find some of those people that made comments, and we put them in the cage with Tony.
I don't think any of them will go in there with Tony. But I think what's kind of heartbreaking, like MMA is such a tough freaking sport, right? One shot ends it all.
Yeah, it's a matter of inches and seconds. It's a very unforgiving sport. In boxing, you get a standing 8 count. You get a chance to recover and then perform again. In MMA, is as soon as that moment happens where your eyes roll back, you don't get, are you okay? Come on, stand up. Are you okay? Walk towards me. Give me your gloves. You don't get that.
Yeah.
As soon as you're out, you're out. There's like Tony bounced right back up after that knockout.
Did you think, I mean, I almost at first that night, I almost thought the stoppage was too quick that night. Right. But then when I watched the video, it looked like his eyes turned back. I didn't see that the night of.
So I go back and forth when it comes to Rising Stars. When I watched it, he got clipped, but he's still kind of there. And as soon as Beltran stopped the fight, he was wrestling like he thought, but he still
Beltran fucking did the fucking.
Yeah, he was safe. I called him safe.
Yeah,
by the way.
But you gotta love Mike Beltran, man.
I think he maybe could let him take a couple shots, but at the end of the day, the guy he was fighting was a bulldog, and I just don't see him letting off those punches and really seeing it.
But I really think Mike Beltran saw what happened with Tony's eyes.
Yeah, it's not that he fell, it's how he fell.
Yeah.
He fell with his arms at his side, and when he hit, his head hit, and he didn't bring his hands up immediately to cover up. He didn't present to himself that he was there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I'm totally good with that.
Yeah,
stoppage.
so
I'm good with it too, but I think that night, and this is why, like, I could never be a ref or a judge, right?
Yeah, it's a tough job.
Shirel, do you think you could be a referee or a judge?
Sometimes we rewatch the fights. I'm like, Ryan, how did he know to just stop it right there? Like he looked like he could fight back. I could never do that.
Yeah. No, I think it was a great stoppage, and shout out to Mike Beltran, one of the best in the business. I know that Mike's very focused on fighter safety. He tries to give them every opportunity and gets it.
He always has been too. I mean, I've known Mike since his mustache was really short. So.
How short was it back
It
in
was
the day?
about like right to here.
Yeah.
He looked like Yosemite. We used to call him Yosemite Sam because looked like
Yeah.
Yosemite Sam.
Would you call him
mustache.
Yosemite Sam to his face?
Oh yeah. Mike's a good dude.
I think
I
we
wouldn't
should-
call him anything else though.
I think Shirel and I have a question.
Oh.
Who's Yosemite Sam? Are we, is that
Yeah,
like
no,
an
I
older
don't
person thing or something?
Yosemite Sam, you darn tootin'. Oh my God, am I aging?
Yeah,
Are
it
we
is an age
are we
thing.
too young? Okay.
Yeah,
Just to
it's
make
like
sure.
the Bugs Bunny cartoon
with
a mustache.
Just to make sure.
Yeah,
it's
the
kind of
guns
about
and the
Yosemite.
hat.
Yeah. Okay, so just get on your phone right now and Google Yosemite Sam.
Yep.
No, it's
Tell
okay.
me-
We'll bring it up so you
tell me he
know.
doesn't look like Mike Beltran.
Leave it
Yeah.
for the old people, Shirel. It's all good.
Listen, we're like wine, Ryan. We're aging gracefully. See, that's yeah, that's Yosemite Sam. So do you think Mike Beltran maybe looked like that, Shirel, with his mustache?
I think Mike Beltran's way handsomer than that. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
More
You know,
handsome.
it's cool to talk about Mike Beltran a little bit. He's actually become like a brand.
Yeah.
Like, and how cool is that as a referee? He, of all people, has really become a brand. He's branched out into acting. He's a ref. I mean, he's a noticeable character. You know what I mean?
love how no nonsense he is too. When it comes to reffing, I really think he's the best in the game. If not, top one, top two. To be honest, I think Mike Beltran's amazing.
Yeah, he's always been one of the best referees as far as I'm concerned because fighter safety is always tantamount to him. At times, he's been criticized for maybe stopping fights a little bit too early. But I don't ever criticize that because you don't know what he sees.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like your dad said, if the eyes go back or how he falls or how he reacts, the referee's got a bird's eye view. And if he sees it, then you gotta take your hat off to him.
Bro, I would never, again, I'm repeating, never want to be a ref or a judge.
Never.
I'd never want to have these people's like destiny in my hands. Like that's such
I actually
a
think,
huge amount of pressure.
True. I'm not just being big headed, but I think I could be.
You are
decent
big-headed.
ref. I've always had a big head. My twin brother, my whole life, called me big head growing up, and I used to
Yes,
piss
that's
me
true.
the fuck off.
Bro, if I were to like bring up baby pictures of you right now, I wish I would have
Fuck
prepared.
you.
I would have brought it. Ryan had the biggest head as a baby and just looked like that.
Did you feel bad for
He
his
grew
pillow?
into his head. No, Ryan grew into his head. I swear to God. If I show baby
think so?
pictures.
My head
Has a
too
big
big?
head.
No, he did. Did you see baby pictures of him?
Nobody still has one.
How many sweaters did you ruin as a kid trying to put them on?
I don't know. Anyways, enough about big head. Next fight I want to talk about. This guy is like truly a rising star. 18 years old. Now 2-0 under the UNF banner. Edgar Amirkhanian. Another first round finish. John, I kind of want to ask you, what do you think about the early career of Edgar? Like, where do you see the potential? What do you see with this guy?
I'd like to see somebody fight him. Because he's a violent juggernaut. He just goes in there and blasts through whoever's across from him. I'd like to see him like get tested. I don't know if I ever will, especially in the amateur division, because he's like the guy he fought. I said that guy was standing on the tracks when the train came through, because that's exactly what happened. He got absolutely blitzed, and I almost felt bad for him because you want to see everybody get a chance to at least
Show something,
and there was nothing. It was like he was just on the wrong side of a one-sided beatdown,
Well, Edgar did take a few shots, right? Like as far as nothing substantial, right?
Maybe
But
like a couple leg kicks.
Let me finish what I'm gonna say, Ryan. But
Well, you
he
said
took a
shots,
couple
not just-
leg kicks. Okay, those are shots. Okay, those are shots. He took a couple leg kicks, but he was very tactical. Didn't respond right away. Kind of just felt out his fun. But when Edgar attacked, he attacked.
Yeah.
And he did a post-fight interview with Shirel, and Shirel, I think he said something along the words like, "I like hitting people."
Yeah.
When you interview fighters and they show that side of them, what do you think when he first said that to you? Was it like normal, like okay, or
Yeah, I'm used to it all now. Nothing faces me.
Edgar's just a funny guy. Let's talk about his personality a little bit too, because I think he has the skills, and he has the potential. But when you see these superstars in the world of MMA, they have some personality to them. They maybe talk a little shit. They say whatever they want to whoever they want, and Edgar has all of that.
Well,
Is that a good or bad thing though?
Well, listen, if you're a true martial artist, all about respect, this and that, it's not a great thing, right? You want to just get in there, you want to compete and keep it professional. But in today's world, you need to be a brand inside the cage and outside the cage, right? And I think Edgar's brash behavior and his just whole demeanor and the charisma that he has, I think he has the makings to be a superstar, in my opinion. And that fan base that he has, right, Shirel?
Yeah, I was gonna say something. They're crazy.
Well, then say something.
Okay, I'm talking. They're all taking pictures with him after. It lasted like 20, 30 minutes after the fight. They're wild, they're loud, they're fun. They make the whole room like every time I hear that, I'm like, okay, it's one of those guys. I already know who's fighting. Either Arthur, Edgar, Pargev, one of those guys.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, right? So the names you just said are all Armenian fighters, right? And I think the Armenian community really comes out for their fighters.
They have for years. I mean, since I started in this business, that's the one nationality that has always supported pretty much every single avenue of fighting that I've been a part of. Like whenever you have an Armenian fighter, like Glendale just shows up. You know what I mean? Like all of Glendale. So
Yeah. We always have to hire extra security when we have a lot of Armenian fighters on the card,
Yeah,
right,
we
Ryan?
definitely do. And I mean, listen, you got Edgar, you got our Rising Stars flyweight champ Pargev on the same card,
Superstars.
and then you had Arthur.
Sakanian.
Sakanian.
Thank you so much. Those three on the same card, man, it was just nuts.
Yeah, the energy in that room that those fighters, their crowds, that you could tell they were very behind their crowds, very, very supportive. But I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. That energy and that love that they show and that support, I don't know, man. I get a thrill off it.
Yeah, definitely. And just one more thing about Edgar. I mean, I know he's 18, guys, but would you mind seeing him fight for a Rising Stars title anytime soon? Because he's telling me, I'll just be honest, he wants a title fight next. That's what he wants. But I just want to see maybe your opinion on.
I think he
that
needs
for
one
him.
more. I think you know, the great thing about a champion is that they can will their way past adversity. He hasn't seen adversity yet. I'd like to see how he handles that. But other than that, I mean, I wouldn't want to tell him that to his face. I'll tell you.
I think he would go at you, John.
Edgar always I think he jokes with me. I hope he's joking because it was like, me and you catch weight fight next. Like me and Edgar fight each other.
Yeah. Well, we
I always
have Kaiser's son.
You got a good insurance
we're
policy?
we got Kaiser.
I really just
we got
don't-
health insurance for him, Shirel. So we're
It's really
good.
not that serious. I really just don't want to ruin one of our top prospects.
Oh,
I want to make sure he has a good private
Edgar.
career.
Ryan is coming for you, Edgar. Edgar.
Edgar, I love you. I'm just kidding. I don't want to get sent to the hospital. But
No,
yeah.
listen.
So we'll see what's next for Edgar.
No, I do really think that Edgar, has what it takes. Yeah, John, I go back and forth. Does he need one more? Does he not?
I don't know. I mean,
But I agree. He doesn't have the cage time.
yeah, he doesn't have the rounds.
Yeah.
He's got an edge to him. He a lot of fighters like my buddy Nick Diaz, he has to not like his opponent to get in the
Your
cage
buddy
with
is
him.
Nick Diaz?
I have no Nick.
Can we
for-
call him on? You got his number
I don't have
in your
his number
phone?
on my
Okay,
phone.
well, how much of a buddy is he?
But I
How
have
much buddy is he, John?
I have hang out drinking with him many times. But
Sure, that was a good time.
so yeah, it was fun. But like Nick and Nate, they tend not to like their opponents, and it's something that they have to do to get up for the fight. I think Amir Khanian is cut from that same cloth. But I would like to see a little less of the bird and a little more of the.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the bird, but I like his aggressiveness. And what's weird is his dad is a stellar opposite. His dad is the nicest guy.
It's weird because I don't think Edgar's faking any of it, right? But Edgar's a really nice, pretty calm guy.
Oh,
Just sit
yeah.
down and chilling.
Pre-fight
I think
interviews,
something
very
about when he
calm.
knows he has a fight coming up.
Yeah.
It's fight week. He's in his opponent's face. Is like, it's either me or you, motherfucker. And like, I think he turns that where he just has to hate the guy kind of in front of him. Like, no respect for him. I'm gonna run through you.
Yeah.
F you. You know,
Yeah.
that's just him.
That's Edgar.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see a little respect afterwards, maybe, but who knows?
You know what's cool when he fought Eli, his last fight? Like, yeah, he did the same stuff before, but after, they were very cool. Like they talked to each other, this and that. So that's what I really like about it. I like that mutual respect. I get what Edgar does if he needs to do that to get hyped up and all that stuff. Cool with me. I just want it to be respectful after the fact.
Talent-wise, you can't touch that kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about it, Edgar's a 155er. At UNF 21, we had a 155 Rising Stars title fight on the card. Chris, can we bring up the clip of Kiros and Farnsworth? This fight was amazing, technically. Just a great back and forth fight. And by the way, I have not touched my mic yet, so that Rolex Rolls Gold is coming soon.
This is true. Last episode,
really
Ryan
tried.
was doing strange things to the mic, which
Can you
is
show
true.
us what I was doing?
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do.
Yachtmaster too, by the way.
Yeah.
We'll see.
What were you doing to the mic?
Shirel, he's doing like.
Oh my.
Oh, yeah.
What was that?
That's what he was doing. No, he was. No, he was.
Show me one more time. What was it?
No, I'm not doing it again.
All right, so I'm going to try to show the clip. Of this
No, shut the clip. Here we go.
Not a lot of fun if your Kiros on your back.
So this is a clip showing the ref had a suspect stand up, to be honest. And you guys listen to John's commentary because he's saying it here, but a little controversial. Good shots by
That
Weston
one
there.
hurt him. That one hurt him off the bottom.
He's hurt. That was to the temple.
Kiros might-
Weston's
he's got
dangerous
a big-
everywhere, bro.
He's got a big knot on his eye right now.
Yeah, those ground shots are
Dangerous thrown from
vicious.
everywhere, including his back. He caught Farnsworth, the cleaner, a couple
But Farnsworth
times
sticking
with
to the
one
bodies,
shot. And now
improving
look at this
position, and the ref stands him up. Why?
Well, I think we got to even kind of back up a little bit, right?
That was really interesting, guys.
Well, we'll see who it benefits.
Let it
here.
finish.
Kiros might have him rocked.
Wow, Kiros just got the we got a sweep via referee.
I
right
love
there.
both these guys.
Now he's teeing off. He could
It's
win
also
this
crazy
fight
though.
right here on
Well,
these
I'll let
last
the
few
video
seconds.
finish.
Yeah.
Was trying to clean
I
up
think
the
it's really
cleaner.
important to kind of set up the story, though, right, of this, because, John, why don't you kind of go through the fight? That was the third round, right?
Yeah.
So I think going into the third, didn't you have it?
I had it
One round-
1-1 going into the third, a round apiece. But again, they were close rounds, you know, so if one was scored the other way, I can't get upset about it. However, and I mentioned it during the commentaries, when you're in top position, as long as you're doing work and trying to improve your position, that's enough for the referee to step away. I understand in the amateurs, there's shorter time and you want more action in the fight. So I understand his looking to stand the fight up, but what I saw was nothing to indicate that a stand-up was necessary.
Yeah, I agree watching that. And I agree. I had a 1-1 going into that third round.
Yeah.
Weston taking the first round, Brendan taking the second round. In that third round, Weston landed a couple big shots in the beginning of the
Yep.
round, maybe 15, 20 seconds in. After that, Brendan gets a takedown and has control for probably a minute on the ground. So right there, it's like 50-50 almost. Weston also had some good ground, like some shots from the bottom. So I think without setting him up, it's really a 50-50 round. Whoever's judging, you could really go either way. That stand-up, I think, for sure secured the win for Weston, right? Those last 15 seconds when they got on the feet. I don't know if you agree.
I actually scored the third round for Weston even without the stand.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like Weston still could have won that round without being stood up. So I don't want to say, the only reason Weston won is because he got stood up. That's not what I'm saying. But I think it was a very close round without them getting stood up where Weston put that barrage on him at the end.
The only reason I was a little disappointed is, Farnsworth is known for his grappling.
Yeah.
He's a Gracie student and he's really, really good on the ground.
Right.
So was there enough time for him to do something? Well, I guess we'll never know. And that's kind of the only reason I was a little disappointed about the stand-up. I still had Kiros winning the round. Don't
Right.
get me wrong. It's not like I had Farnsworth winning the round,
Yeah.
but I just thought based on you got to judge each moment independently. And in that moment, I thought the stand-up was not justified.
Yeah, no, totally agree.
No, well, look, I think at the end of the day, it just goes to show like one moment in time can change the entire fight. You know what I mean? You just never know.
And I want to say, Carlos Eduardo is a great referee.
100%.
Great
Like
referee.
a very, very good young
Listen,
referee.
everyone needs to understand refs are also human and they're
Yeah.
not going to get it right every single time.
And we also don't know what the commission's telling them. We want more action, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they have someone to answer
It's
to
just such a
as
crazy
well.
sport, right? Because the sport is just crazy where someone has to win, someone has to lose. For pros, money's on the line. For this fight, there's a belt on the line. And every decision, every split moment, it changes the outcome of these things. It's
but
just nuts.
At the end of the day, this is another one of those things. Yes, Brendan on his record took the L, but did his stock go
No,
down in
no,
this
no.
fight? I
Fuck
think it
no.
only went up.
Yeah,
I mean,
agree.
this guy, again, he's another person that I think has the makings of a star. Great person, very charismatic outside the cage, really knows how to promote himself, and he's amazing inside the
You
cage.
see what he does with his hair all the time? Awesome.
I love it. And he's got some dance moves. Shirel, what do you think of Brendan's dance moves? Be honest.
Sherelle, can you do a TikTok dance for us right now? Come on.
No,
on,
Ryan.
no.
No TikTok dance?
No.
What about just even in your chair? Can you do a little something?
Can you guys sing? I'll do it.
What John can sing. He's great.
No, what John's saying, John is
TikTok
not
dance
good
today.
singing. Listen, if you watch those karaoke videos, John is one of the worst
Probably,
singers. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Who do you think the worst karaoke singer is?
I think they all need some improvement. I think Reigns is really good. Reigns.
Of course, Ray, you could tell she like practices at home. She's into it.
got
She
karaoke
goes,
songs,
she
man.
goes karaokeing with her husband. You know that in her
Which
family.
I have never ever done, by the way. Never
It
done.
shows,
I'm
John.
not gonna lie. Drunk
John-
karaoke is really fun. I suck at singing. Our family is just notoriously
No, the
horrible
worst.
at singing.
No.
But there, when we do get together and we drink a little bit, we definitely sing in the backyard. And my mom is the worst of all. I love you, Mama, but she doesn't even sing. She just yells, But she's the best person in the world, so I guess it kind of makes up for it.
No, she
Shout out to
really is.
Vicky. We all love Vicky.
No, we all love Vicky.
Yeah, we really do love Vicky. Well, next fight, there's another fight I do want to talk about because I feel like it had and maybe does have, maybe doesn't. I don't know. Some title implications were maybe involved with it. Arshak, Dorian, Luciano, Giano. You know, great back and forth fight. Arshak came out with a W. Shout out to Luciano. Again, great back and forth fight. Very close. I thought the judges did get it right, though, with giving it to Arshak. But again, very close fight. Arshak's definitely knocking on the door for a title fight, John. What do you think? He's 4-1 as a rising star. He's fought some tough competition. You think where he's at in his rising star's career, is he ready for that jump?
I'm 50-50 on that. I mean, he puts in dominant performances. He's a great wrestler. He controls position. But I haven't seen him put his foot on the gas pedal yet. I want to see him go for a finish. You know what I mean? Like, I think if he showed some more finishing instincts, I'd say, yeah, right away. But I mean, not to harken back to the last fight, like a guy like Brandon Farnsworth, I think if he wins one more fight, he's right back in the title picture.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
So like a guy like Dorian, I think Dorian's got to show us something to say, I'm not going to just ride out a fight. I'm going to look for the finish.
Well, going back to Brennan, right? Like at the end of the day, I think if Weston I mean, he's talking about going pro.
Yeah.
If Weston were to go pro, I think Farnsworth would be right there in line to fight for the vacant title.
Did we just make a fight on a podcast right now? Brendan Farnsworth versus Edgar Amirkhanian for the 155 vacant Rising Stars title.
Ooh,
Sounds like
that could
a banger to
happen.
me.
Wow.
And
I'm just messing around. I mean, potentially.
I think Amir Khanian gets tested in that fight too. So
Definitely. I mean, I think Amir Khanian definitely has the edge in striking, and I think that jiu-jitsu world for Brendan Farnsworth, I think, you got two styles clashing.
Yeah. That's a great fight. But look, so John, I disagree. I think Arshak's ready for that title, right? He called out Byron Valle, our current champ. I think that would be a banger. I would like to see Arshak be finishing fights, but I honestly feel like that's a good fight.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with John that I would love to see him finish.
Why would you agree with John and disagree with your father?
But I need to say something that John didn't bring up about Arshak. Arshak has really fought some of the tougher guys out there.
Very true.
Luciano, I think his record was 3-3 at the time, but he's also fought the toughest guys. He's going promotion, fighting for promotional belts, winning some, losing some, fighting really tough guys.
Yeah.
He fought another guy, Michael Santiago, who's a state champ right now. Fight Matthew Ingram, who's like a 7-time kickboxing champ, beat him.
It's true.
So he's really fought really, really stiff, tough competition. He's really dominated most of the fights. So, I would love to see him finish, but I also think he's knocking on the door for a title shot too.
One cool thing about Arshak, very educated guy, going to school, going to be a lawyer. Yeah. And to see him carry that load at school and train full time like he does, super impressive.
And I love the kid as a person. He's a wonderful human being, and I would love nothing more to see him as a title holder. But I just think, as looking at it objectively, that's what I would want to see from him.
Well, I think too that you're a purist, right? I mean, you are a student of the game, John. You've been doing this 15 plus years, right?
Yes, sir.
I think I'm a little bit of a fanboy. I like these guys. I want to see everybody get their shot to fight for a fucking title. But I think you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, these guys got to go for the finish. They got to lay it on the line and take extreme risk.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, like with Arshak, I would love to see that. But then again, if you really do look at his resume, who he's fought, we're talking resume, Rising Stars level, right? But he's fought, he's never had an easy fight. He
has, and him beating Matthew Ingram's had some recent fights where he's just demolished his opponents. Yeah. And he didn't really put a lot of hurting on Arshak. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to see what happens next with Arshak. Let's get into the next fight, though. I think we could talk about our 170 Rising Stars champ. We had someone crowned. Christopher London, KO in the first round. Before we play the clip, John, walk us through that KO. What'd you see?
Actually, I had to go to the bathroom during that fight.
You weren't there?
But I did see it happen live. I just wasn't on the call. I saw a very patient Christopher London.
Calculated,
and
right?
Not only that, I was sitting right next to his corner during the fight. And if you watch the clip, he keeps looking back at his corner, and his corner's giving him an instruction. They're saying same side head kick, same side combination. They're calling, and then he does it. Then they're calling for the straight right hand, and boom, there it is.
Isn't it awesome to see the evolution of Christopher London, though? Yeah. I mean, when he fought Bsum the first time for the title, he looks like a completely different athlete and fighter now. Physically, he looks different, and mentally, you could see he's completely dialed in now. And I think that showed in his performance.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Shirel, I want to ask you, I mean, he's really our only fighter right now that's an actor, was on a reality TV show. You're like almost TikTok famous pretty much. Is there some synergy there? Could TikTokers and actors be fighters? You think that works out? I mean, Christopher London's a great example.
There it is. I think it can work out.
Do you have like any more like? Do you want him to like kind of win a little more than other people since he's like kind of in your world at all, or no? I mean, like striving to be famous, like acting, TikTok. I don't know. No.
Well, sure. What are the chances of you getting in the cage? I mean, would that ever happen?
I could see that happening. I'm
How
trying.
much would the check have to be to get in the cage? Would you do it for free?
No.
How much would it be?
Do you have
We'll
any?
talk about this later.
Come on, how much would it be?
No, listen. Is there anybody in mind that you'd like to fight? Like, I mean, would you want to fight Miriam? Maybe.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah?
This is
Miriam will mess you up, but
Listen, one thing I could tell you about my daughter, she's got a resume.
Well, you've been
She's a mom now, but my daughter has a resume.
I've heard.
Oh, have you heard about her breaking bottles on people's heads? And that,
Oh,
yeah.
shit. What
No,
the
Miriam.
hell?
Listen, one day I will tell the stories. You know, there's some good stories about Miriam.
I've gotten some fights. I'm
not shitting you guys. That's the truth.
Wait,
Ryan,
you've been-
Ryan, you think you're undefeated in the streets? I think your sister has a stronger resume than you do.
Well, whatever. We'll compare one day. Can you show some combos? She's been working out. Show some combos.
Shout out to Hustle Striking, right?
Yeah,
Who's your coach over at Hustle?
Sam.
All right, look at the camera and do it. Let's do a
Come on,
combo.
let's-
Come on. 1, 2, 3, maybe.
No, listen.
Come on, you can do
Come
it.
on, Sherelle.
He said 1, 2, 3.
You see the hook? There it is.
Oh.
Two.
Do you slip anything?
Beautiful, beautiful.
No, I'm really good. If you guys watch my Instagram stories, you'll see.
I got the diamond impression.
Everyone and everything look good on Instagram. Sure, we
You
need to see it in
know,
person.
A lot of fighters actually swiped up on that story and said, "When are we seeing you in the?" I think Christopher.
Listen, there's a reason they're swiping up, and it's not your fighting skills, Sherelle. I'm just telling you straight up now. But I do want to give you props. From the first time you started doing social and, you know, guys were holding the pads for you and stuff, you were fucking terrible.
I was terrible.
No, you were bad. I'll be honest with you. I'm like, there is no hope for this girl. But now I'm seeing you over at Hustle. They're really working on your game. They're doing a good job.
Yeah, they're doing a great job.
How long you been training?
I think like 2 months now.
Good for you. That's
Now,
awesome.
did you start training because of Up Next and you getting that exposure?
I
or-
would have never thought I would be in the MMA game or like even like that stuff. I thought it was manly, but then seeing all these fighters and then those videos that I did, and I was like, I need some work. So one day I took a class there and I loved it. And ever since I've just.
So have you, by being around MMA, have you developed kind of a love and a passion for the sport now?
Definitely. Before, like, I couldn't watch it. I was very like in the middle, like I like it, I don't like it. Now I'm like, oh my God, fight night, gotta watch all these fights. Who's getting knocked out? You know, like I love it. But
And question, so what does your family think about it?
they also love it. They come to a couple of fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always
they
ask
love
me.
it.
Yeah, they
Honestly,
do.
your family they don't come as much anymore, but they used to always come.
Yeah, they will come to every fight.
They bring the whole fam and come enjoy.
Are they paying for those tickets or are we comping them? We should be charging them double.
Double.
Yeah.
Triple.
Think so?
Just kidding. No.
You really think so?
Sherelle's family is our family, so they're all good.
Yeah,
they
really
they get the golden pass.
We did get a little sidetracked. Chris, can we run the clip of London versus
my bad.
Weddle? No, you're good. Start talking about Sherelle's career and everything.
Got a last night feints right here. But Waddell's coming in, snapping that jab, looking for a way to get inside.
Yeah, London looks
Shaking out that
calculated.
leg.
Just looks like he's seeing everything in slow mo, right? Like
Boom. Pause with that lead hand to measure and then just develops.
Big right hand.
That was so
That's
clean.
a walk away, fellas. That is
I wish
a
we had it in
walk
slow mo.
away.
You could see how he paused with his lead hand and then takes a step back. And when he steps back,
That was clean.
as soon as his right heel hits the ground, the right hand follows.
and it is confirmed that he's going pro. You think that's a good move for him right now?
I mean, it all depends on what can the amateur division do for you. And I mean, he just won a title. There's not really much more the amateur division can do for him. He's an amateur champion. Why not enter the pros riding that win streak, riding that hot with the gold around your waist? I think it's a good move. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's fought some really tough guys too, right?
Yeah.
Anthony DeSimone, who we fought for the title the first time, didn't go his way, but tough guy. Carson Dohan, another tough guy. Sir Gregor, also a pretty tough guy to just go in there with and dominate.
Yeah.
And then Alexander Weddle, who's a striker also. I mean, if you get past most of those tests, I think you're ready to go pro.
Yeah.
Christopher London's just an interesting character. Did you happen to interview him that night? Did he come over to you or no? You don't remember?
I don't remember.
You're drawing a
There's
blank?
too many.
No, but he's an interesting character. Another model kind of actor guy. I think he's moved out to Vegas now, so he's training at Syndicate, so doing part-time at Syndicate and here at Matador. So I don't know. His game's evolved. I think he's ready for that pro jump.
Yeah, no, I agree for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next fight.
What's the fight?
Let's see what I have in my paper here. All right, next fight. Probably one of our most popular athletes right now, Pargev Katrian versus Zane Palasio. This fight was Pargev defending his flyweight title, UNF flyweight title, and also fighting for the Camo state title, which he has been fucking yelling for and working for months and months now.
He will DM me, Kris, where is the state title? I want state title. Like, it's just
and there's like a
crazy.
language barrier, right? Like he doesn't speak English very well. So when he types to you, it's like you feel like he's like attacking you. I want state title. I'm like, I am working on it. All right, don't worry.
No, but
he was the most. He deserved that.
Listen,
he deserved to fight for the opportunity. You know,
I truly believe he's the best flyweight amateur in the country, in my opinion.
It would be hard
I
to
don't
prove
know
that otherwise.
who touches him.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, again, kind of talking about, a full package. Outside the cage, the way he promotes himself and brands stuff, he's so proud to be a champion. And then the work he does inside that cage, amazing.
I'd go one step further. I would even say, like, before turning pro, this guy has already got eyes on him.
he's already a prospect, 100%.
I'm almost positive Sean Shelby knows who he is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I am almost positive that the matchmakers at the UFC know that this guy's on his way.
Right.
He's just got to put together a resume to get there. But I mean, Joe Rogan talks about it, the best base to have in martial arts is being wrestling. And boy, can that guy wrestle, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, I mean, we'll talk about his fight with Zayn in a sec, but his fight against Todd. I mean, Todd was a very well-decorated wrestler, high school wrestler. But if you know anything about high school wrestling and you actually rank and stuff, like, it's really high-level wrestling. I mean, and Todd had nothing for Pargham when it came to the wrestling, and Todd is a great wrestler. But Pargham's wrestling is truly on a whole nother level. You have good wrestlers in the flyweight division, Rising Stars. Pargham's in a fucking space of his own.
Well, you have wrestling, and then you have mixed martial arts wrestling. And, to be able to wrestle and control your opponent, high school wrestling, take his back, try to go for the pin, that's one thing. But to get into a position where you can rain down hell or to go for a submission, it's a completely different game. And Pargham's body control, if you ever watch him when he takes somebody down, he always lands in a dominant position. It's never a 50-50 position, you know?
One thing I love about Pargham is his evolution, because I think in his first fight with UNF, he was strictly a wrestler.
Yeah.
Right? And he would get the guy down, couldn't control him real great at first. But now he's the complete package.
He's improved.
He has just his striking, his control. I think it's going to be hard to get somebody to match up. Like every guy that's fought him, Todd Stafford and Zayn, to me, it's like I use this phrase, dare to be great. Because when you go against Pargham, you're daring to be great. That's a huge challenge in front of you.
We were a little disappointed in Pargham, though, to be honest with you. I mean, first time we saw him, he came out dressed like a ninja.
I'll tell you
then
what
he
happened.
came out dressed like a gladiator. And then now he's just Pargham.
So all his outfits, he told me, require him to have some type of plastic sword, knife, weapon. Those plastic weapons are not allowed by the commission. We can't have those at the event.
Okay. All right.
So when I let him know they couldn't have weapons, he's like, okay, I'm not wearing my costume. I'm like, no, still wear the costume. But he's like, it's not working without the weapon. So I said, okay.
Oh, so it was a Pargham move.
Yes, Pargham always, but he's a showman, man. Like he wants to dress up. He wants to do that stuff. He wants to add that excitement and energy to his walkout and whatever he's doing. So it wasn't his fault necessarily, though.
Right on.
Shirel, you've got to interview Pargham at the last event. I don't know if you got him at this event, but how cool was it to interview him after he proposed to his fiance?
That was great. I interviewed both of them, him and his fiance, and it was really cool. I also got engaged, so I know the feeling and in front of many people.
You want to show you?
I also got engaged. Guys, look at my ring, my really expensive ring I got.
But I think there was a problem, right? Like after you got engaged, didn't like a lot of people like unfollow you and
A
stuff?
lot of people unfollowed me. I decided to go through my following to see who followed me. I think I unfollowed like 100 fighters at least.
Oh, wow. Because they unfollowed you.
Because they unfollowed me, and I'm assuming it's because of the ring. I don't know what else it would be.
Because they were trying to shoot their shot before,
Isn't that
and
a
then
little childish that you're unfollowing people.
It's because you annoyed them about medicals. That's why.
I think it's a good mixture of both, John.
That's a good reason.
Good mixture of both. Well, anyways, Kris, I got a clip of Pargham, finishing his fight. Can we play that real quick? Second round TKO. Some people were kind of angry at the decision of it being saying it was stopped a little too early. So let's go through it real quick and just
Zayn's
see what
coach
we see.
was through the roof, not happy with this stoppage. So let's see what you think, John.
You got, a little wall walk action there. And Zayn reversal. Tom Zayn, I just want to separate. I want to stand up. I want to separate. Keep this fight standing. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. What?
So it looks like he got the wind knocked out of him there.
The wind leave the body of the challenger. That's going to be it. My goodness. Ready.
I mean, maybe one
Putting
or
you on
two
the spot,
puncher.
John. Putting you on the
maybe.
spot.
I don't think he was getting out of that position. Again, it's an amateur fight. Amateur fight, safety comes first. I understand the coaches being in his corner saying, you know, he had a chance to get out of it, but he didn't get out of it fast enough for my taste. So I didn't see him getting out of that position. I saw him eating some more hammer fists, and I did not want to see him eat any more hammer fists.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I see it going both ways. I think in that case, you know, Parker was having his way with the wrestling, although Zane did have some good, you know, transitions and whatnot, but Parker was dominating. It seemed like that maybe was going to keep happening. It didn't look like Parker was slowing down at all, too. Right. So,
Yeah.
you know, I feel both sides because it's a fight. Anything could happen. But you also do want to, you know, protect the safety of these fighters.
Yeah, I like how Zane came out, though, in that fight. He came out and he was
What I
bringing
didn't like
it
about
to
that
Pargev.
fight is he clipped the first shot of the fight. Zane clipped Pargev. The guys respect a little bit if you notice.
I like the game plan. I mean, he was going right at Pargev, which I thought was a really good thing to be doing. But again, Pargev is just on another
I would actually
level.
say, well, it's hard with Pargev, right? Because if I mean, what do you do against Pargev anyways?
I talked about it before about striking and staying over your feet. When you go up against a wrestler and you overcommit, that allows him to counter, change levels, and get to your legs.
Yeah.
I think Zane was doing a good job and he did clip Pargev. He did, you're right. But when he did, he was leaning forward. And I think Pargev saw that as an opening, saying, okay, let him throw at me again. And now I'm going to take him down. And I think that, you know, going back to the coach being a little disappointed about it.
He was not a little disappointed.
a lot
Listen, I was working the cage door and he was yelling at me.
I love the guy, but he was yelling at me too. I'm like,
He was pissed.
I'm not the one that stopped the fight, my man.
He texted me the next day.
Oh, here we go.
So my whole thing is, even if he gets out of that round, is there any way he can win the fight besides a knockout? No. But
I understand the frustration. I'm not saying right or wrong, what happened was right or wrong, but I understand and I love the passion.
Yeah.
You know, that the coach has because he wants to give his fighter the ability to win and get out there and compete. And he just feels that was taken away. Yeah. Whether right or wrong, I'm not making a judgment call.
It's also, these guys put in a lot of work, right? So you're fighting for the UNF title. The state title's on the line. They put in weeks and weeks and weeks of work to feel like maybe, you know, it did get taken from you a bit without completely being earned.
Right.
You know, sucks a little bit. Yes, we could look at it and say, you know, maybe the same thing was going to happen. He had to get a knockout. But I can understand the frustration too.
Yeah. I understand it. I just don't necessarily 100% agree with it.
No, and that's totally fair.
We can all agree to disagree. That's
true.
Okay. But one thing I do love is I love a lot of these coaches.
Yeah.
Right. These guys donate.
Who's your favorite coach?
I don't have one. There's different things I like about different coaches. And what I like is I like to see their relationship with their fighters. You know what I mean? How they treat their fighters, how they're invested in fighters. I can see the difference. I'm a big people person, reading of people. I can see when people are invested in their fighters and they have a passion about them, or they're just there checking boxes.
I have two favorite coaches.
Go ahead.
One is Joe Daddy Stevenson. I think nobody puts in what he puts in as far as investing in his fighters. And my other favorite coach is my kickboxing coach, Anthony Hardon.
Well, Anthony sure doesn't do a very good job. But
Those are my two favorites.
I'm just kidding, Anthony. I'm just trying to bust John's chops.
Yeah, Anthony's another guy that he does everything he can for his fighters. He believes in his fighters. And, you know, even when they don't come up on top, he's always there for them, you know. And I think anybody can back a winner, but when you come out on the bottom end, that's when you see the real coaching, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to pick anybody because I don't want to be accused of favoritism and shit, right? At the end of the day, but there are some
being politically correct.
I am being fucking politically correct because there's so many. Listen, right, Shirel, there's so many conspiracy theories. If I say I like this coach more than this guy's going to say I'm trying to get him favorable matchups. This game is funky like that.
True.
But I think there's different special things about a lot of these guys. But I think the overwhelming thing is when they have the best interest of their fighter and want to see them grow and progress, giving them the tough fights. There are some of these coaches who just want their fighters to fight cans. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I don't feel that's doing them any good, especially at the Rising Stars level where the key thing is to get the great experience. That's why guys like Brendan Farnsworth, Pargev has fought anybody and everybody that Ryan's put in front of him. He will fight. Byron Valle will fight anybody. Like the guys that are doing really well are those guys that will step up and fight anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and I look at guys like Jose Hernandez, same thing, right? This guy
They
is
look good too.
wow. Jose Hernandez looked great in this fight. But one thing I love about Jose, like if you look at his record, it's a little skewed. I know I've said this before, but that guy's fought the toughest guys out there.
Yeah, and his evolution, he gets better every time he's in there. Like
Yeah.
he really showed that he wasn't just a boxer in this fight. You know,
Yeah.
he was a well-rounded mixed martial artist. So I was really impressed with him as well.
Yeah, there are a lot of impressive athletes on this card.
Yeah, but the most impressive thing about the whole card, well, besides the lights of the production put on the cage, because I thought that was sick.
Look,
Besides
shout
that,
out to like, look, our production. Shirel, what do you think about the production, the lights on the cage, and
I think they put on a great show. It gets really
they put on a great show.
yeah. No, stop! I'm getting shy again. No, I love the lights. I love everything about it. The branding, the branding was amazing, and yeah.
Yeah,
It almost
the
feels
lights
like
around
you're-
the cage are very cool.
look, shout out to Steve Bash. I mean, he is just one of the most creative guys when it comes to doing this, and his ideas about lighting up the cage and creating this. I think it's like a club environment, and I just believe like our fans are different than some of our regional competitors, if you ask me. Right? It's just like this whole like vibe to our events that's very different than what anybody else is doing.
When I got up in the middle of the show to kind of stretch my legs between fights, I turned.
Was it stretching your legs, or did you have to take a bathroom break? Tell the
No,
truth.
I was
Tom.
just stretching my legs.
Okay.
I did have to take a bathroom break later, but I was just stretching my legs, and I turned around, and it was just a wall of people. It was literally a wall of people. And when I finally did take a bathroom break, thank you, Kris, trying to get to the bathroom and back to the commentary booth literally took me 20 minutes because I had to go through all these people and a couple people I knew. Hey, John, you know, Vince Alatola, a couple other fighters that I know. And
There goes John dropping names again.
and all these people, and then I got to the bathroom and there was a huge line. I was like, guys, I got to cut in front of you. Sorry. I got some
I'm John
dirty-
King on commentary. I got to get back to
I
the
got some
booth.
dirty looks, but I was like, guys, I got to get back to the booth, and everybody was kind of cool about it. But
Yeah, that's one thing at the events. Like when I'm like working or I have to go run from this place to this place, like I see like 10 people I know are fighters I want to talk to because they might be on the upcoming card or something. I'm like, sorry, I'm busy, gotta go. But like, nice to see you. But it's the hardest thing.
That's exactly why I keep my ass at the cage door and work the cage, so I don't have to run around and deal with everybody. I just work that cage
But
door.
I've called many fights in that arena. I don't think I've ever seen that many people like crammed into a small, like they literally look like a sea of people. Like I could have jumped and they would have carried me to the bathroom.
But
you know?
what's really cool to see our evolution as a promotion, right? Like we're the last one just packing the house. So when we get all these other promotions claiming they're the best promotion in LA, they're doing this, they're doing that. I don't think there's a comparison.
Well, let's just say that I worked for those promotions because I have. Any promotion that says they're the best promotion in LA, I've probably worked for them, and they're not.
Say it louder, John.
They're not.
Yeah. Okay, well, I was talking about the lights on the cage being one of the most impressive things of the night, but really the most impressive thing, John, I'll let you pronounce the names of the fight. The fight of the night, or one of the fights of the night.
My boy Tommy Aaron and my new friend Batsumero Dagvadorch.
What a fucking fight. This might have been, sure, I want to ask you, you think this was the best fight in UNF history?
I do think so. Watching it back, I couldn't watch it while I was there. My eyes were closed. There was too much blood for me. But it definitely was one of the best fights in UNF history.
John?
By far the best fight I've seen in UNF cage.
I think it might be on my top 5 of all time. I'm not even exaggerating. Maybe top 10 of all time, honestly. That fight was that fucking good.
I'm willing to say it's the second best fight I've ever seen in California.
Okay,
Look,
fair.
This was probably one of the best cards in California
Yeah,
history.
unbelievable. Yeah. And the only fight I'm referring to that might be a little better is Richard Leroy, Jalen Turner.
Wow, no, that is one of the best fights ever.
Yes.
But before let's
But this one was just as good, back and forth.
It was back and forth because there were times Tommy's getting best of him, and then
Well, here,
Bats-
I'll show you
I can't
back and
pronounce
forth.
his name.
Batsumero Dagvadorch.
Chris, show us
Thank
the
you.
clip, please. I'll show you back and forth in 30 seconds right now.
wow,
The Mongolian Falcon, we'll call him.
yeah,
Look at Tommy doing the shoe shine.
boom.
Those are elbows.
They are elbows. Oh, and he gets clipped.
Watch out! What a left hook by the Mongolian Falcon. Can he
Round and round we go. Where it stops, nobody knows.
Wow.
Tommy clips him there.
Whoa.
And it was like this for 3 rounds. Like the whole time it was like this.
Back and forth from round one. Such an amazing fight. Whoa!
Spinning back fist just misses.
Look at the volume from both. Well, volume from Aaron, power punches from. How was that, John? That
That was perfect.
Mongolian Falcon, Ryan.
I said it good.
My goodness. Round and round we go. Where it stops, nobody knows.
Jeez.
Both guys seem content to take one to give one. Boy, how tough are
It's
these
not
guys?
stop though, man. Look at this.
Wow, wow, wow.
It does not get easier to watch.
Is that hard for you to watch,
That
Shirel?
was hard for me to watch.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, calling that fight, sometimes I forgot that I was calling a fight and I was just wanted to watch. You know what I mean? Like I was like mesmerized by those two.
Well, talking about two guys that just laid it all on the line.
Yeah.
I mean, the Mongolian Falcon ended up, I believe, getting transported after that fight,
Yeah.
right, to the hospital, which is crazy. But they left it on the line. And one of the coolest things for me is like seeing the Mongolian Falcon when they were driving back up to San Francisco on Instagram. Like he's like sleeping with the belt, like holding the belt. And he's just so proud to be a champion.
It's really.
He said it, and he said it's like
the
one of
world
his
champ.
proudest moments ever.
That was great.
He's calling himself a world champion, which I love because I think all of us on the UNF team we've built this promotion up the last 2 years where we're standing up there with when these fighters when they win a belt with us, they feel like world champs. You know what I mean? It's because of the show we're putting on. It's because of what we're doing day in and day out and the promotion we're building. So it's amazing that these fighters they become our champion. They feel like world champions. It's not some rinky dink whatever.
No, and that was a world champion fight.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like if the WBC or the UFC sanctioned that fight, it would still be the fight of the night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so that's why even when they made the announcement, my heart kind of skipped a bit because Tommy put both his hands in the air like he had won it.
Who'd you think won though, real quick? Because I was watching live, I had no idea. I was literally, I just heard oohs and ahs and people going down and blood.
I had Tommy doing enough. I did. But like I said before, the rounds were so close. Like if you disagreed with me, I'm not going to get upset. You know, like Dagladoch definitely had the power, but in the second round, he kept dropping his hands because he was so tired and Tommy looked fresher. And then Tommy would, like every time Tommy would crack him, it would like wake him up and then he'd come back chucking again. So it was I mean, honestly, the winner of that fight was all of us. That was the winner of that fight.
Well, the fans got their money's worth with just that one fight.
Danny La Bastida.
Fans win.
The fans win.
Yeah.
That is one. But do you think the Mongolian Falcon with a performance like that gets on the UFC's radar at this point?
If he wasn't already, I mean, how can he not be? Tommy Aaron's a dog. Everybody knows who Tommy Aaron is. He fights he answers his phone and says, okay.
Yeah, bare
what I mean?
knuckle.
Like,
He's
he
done
doesn't say hello. He just goes, okay, I'll take it. You know what I mean? Oh, it's mom. Sorry. I thought you were calling about a fight,
And such a classy dude too.
Yeah. He's had a really tough life. He was emancipated at 15 years old. Grew up on a farm in Spain.
Wow.
Moved out here, was homeless at one point in time in his life, and fighting and his faith had found him a home here in Southern California, and he's earned that. He's earned that with wars like that.
Yeah.
And that's why you'll never see a bad fight from Tommy Aaron. Sometimes his performances are a little up and down, but he's a dog, man. And you take that guy off the leash, he's a dangerous dude.
Yeah, you get the sense that he's fighting for a bigger purpose. Right?
Yeah.
I think he also has twins, right?
Yeah, he's got two little kids too. So
yeah.
That's definitely, I asked him about that. I was like, does that add more pressure? Does that add more focus? And he's like, you're going to see the best Tommy Aaron you've ever seen. And I think we did.
Yeah,
That's the thing. I think that was, if not the best, one of the best performances I've seen from Tommy Aaron.
Well,
it was just one of those fights where both guys.
Tommy
fucking
DM'd
performed.
me and he said like, hey, sorry, because I was a little off at that fight. I'm just like, what? Are you kidding me? This was like an amazing fight.
Well, I didn't want to say anything before the fight because I didn't want to throw anything out there for his opponent, but Tommy cut 23 pounds the night before the fight.
Whoa.
23 pounds. That's 2 weight classes.
So crazy though. He came in like 2 pounds under the limit.
Yeah.
Which I don't get why
because he's a pro, man. He's a pro. Like I told him, when we sat down with him, he looked really sucked out. His cheeks were in, his lips were white. So I asked him, I was like, how hard was the cut? And he was like, oh, it was no problem. And I was like, well, what did you cut?
Seems like the guy
and he
that
goes,
no
23
excuse.
pounds. I was like, 23 pounds is no problem? Wow, I wish I could do that.
Look,
today.
shout out to George for making that. That was kind of a late addition to the card, right, Shirel? Didn't George just make that like 2 weeks before the event?
Yep.
And then Shirel was very stressed to make sure we got all their medicals done.
Yeah, you were chasing the Mongolian Falcons
How hard
coach
is it to
around.
get medicals from Mongolia?
Hard.
Yeah, but shout out to both those guys. I mean, fight of the night. I mean, we're going to formally announce it. Both those guys will get a cash
Fight of the night, fight of the year, fight of UNF until someone else comes by.
Will this be one of those ones that I talk about forever, Ryan? Like Lance Martinez versus Pacquiao.
I mean, you always talk about good ones, but this one, if you don't talk about this one more than the others, you got issues, my man. You know what's going on. No, this fight was really insane. But speaking of really good fights, I don't think our flyweight champ who retained his title is always in exciting fights. Gianni Vasquez defeated Victor Rosas in a good battle. John, what were your thoughts, Kate side, when you're watching that fight?
You know, I talk about Gianni Vasquez. Very often people have nicknames that don't really weigh into how they fight. I mean, Johnny's nickname is Kryptonite, right? You guys know what Kryptonite does, right?
Do you know Shirel, do you know who Superman is?
You know who Superman is? Are you
Okay, we just want to make sure.
No, what's going on.
So,
Do you know who Superman is? Yes or no?
I do.
do you know
Okay.
what Kryptonite is? Kryptonite.
No, she doesn't. Tell us what kryptonite is.
Kryptonite is the only substance
She
in
didn't
the
know.
universe that can take away Superman's powers.
Powers, yeah.
I don't know.
So, and honestly,
Love you, Shirel.
I think that's what Johnny does. Is he goes into the cage. Oh, you want to strike? I'm going to outstrike you. I'm going to take away your striking acumen. Oh, you want to wrestle? Now you want to wrestle? I'm going to out wrestle you. Oh, you want to jujitsu? Let's jujitsu, buddy. You know what I mean? So I think he beats everybody at what they're good at. I mean, Victor Rosas, this guy's 7-2, 4 knockouts. He's got dynamite in his hands.
Yeah.
Fighting for his father. This guy's got a purpose. And he just took him right out of his game plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how is Gianni Vasquez not in the UFC?
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I want to say. I mean, I think Gianni is another one, and I'm repeating myself because I think a lot of our athletes with UNF are fighting for a purpose, and Gianni is fighting for a purpose. He wants in the UFC. I personally believe he's on the road to the UFC. I believe after this performance, maybe one more, he should be getting that call.
Listen, he needs to get the call.
He deserves it. He deserves that
talks
call.
about flyweights being boring, or at least the casuals. Casuals won't think he's boring.
Never.
You know, flyweights are very fast. There's crazy scrambles, which a lot of people that know about MMA can really enjoy and love, which I do love the flyweights. A lot of people talk shit about it. Well, the UFC, if you want to fix that with your casual fans and everything, this is the guy. There's not 1 second of a fight that he's in that's fucking boring.
No.
Right? And you know, he looks for the finish at all times. And dude, he should get that call. I think you're right, though. Hopefully now he gets a call or maybe one more fight.
Well, you know, he's been posting, you know, tagging Dana. Dana, please give Gianni that call. He deserves it. But I think there's a card in Mexico City, and Gianni wants to be on that card.
Well,
I mean,
I'm hoping for him. He deserves it.
listen, I don't want to lose him as our champ, but I want the best for Gianni. And getting to the big show, that's what's best for him, and that's what he fucking deserves. He's earned it. He deserves it. Dana needs to make that call.
Yeah, he's a contender.
Well, John, do you have Dana's number in your? I mean,
No,
you've
I
got
don't.
Nick.
I've
Nick
actually
Diaz,
I've
no?
only met Dana once, and
Okay.
and that was it.
How'd that go?
What about you, Shirel?
We said hello.
No, you don't have any like inside scoop to Dana.
No.
He doesn't follow you on TikTok or anything.
Actually, I do have an inside scoop, I think.
Okay, tell us.
I mean, I know who owns the UFC now.
Oh, you know someone that is an owner?
Yeah, my friend's parents bought it.
Ooh.
Ari Emanuel.
Emmanuel, yes. I'm not
Look at-
super close with them, but
Yeah,
I
I
know
know a
them.
bunch of friends that are very close with like their son or
Leo Emmanuel.
Well, then why don't you guys?
Leo
like-
used to train at Dynamics MMA. I know Leo. Yeah.
I mean,
well,
I
then-
don't really know him, but
well, can't we just like call in some favors or something?
Oh, I'm not friends
Like-
with them or anything.
Okay.
I just mutuals. I
he
know
said he
them.
knows him.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
You
listen.
see that John's not calling any favors in or anything. Gianni Vasquez, UFC, man. Come on, you can do it.
He should be there. I mean, I'm looking right in the camera saying, what's wrong with you guys? He should be there. I mean, Gianni Vasquez should not only be in the UFC, but if you got him there now, he would be an immediate contender in that division.
But the cool thing is, like, I mean, we've got a few athletes on the roster that I believe should really be getting that call.
Yeah. There's definitely a few guys that have fought for us that deserve that shot. But you know, there's so much that goes into it. Like you said, you got to build your brand. They're not just looking for the best fighters. They're looking for fighters that are going to connect to an audience. You know what I mean? And I think Gianni does that. He checks all the boxes.
Right? Yeah. Well, I think that's one thing going back, like why I think Shirel and our social team play a huge role in the organization, because getting these guys to go on social media, doing interviews and being a part, that's a stepping stone to building their brand.
Yeah, it's
you know what I
preparing.
mean? And I think that that's hugely important, right? You've got to be able to move the needle. And that's why guys like, you know, Pargev, even though he's a rising star, right, still amateur, I think he's on the road to the UFC. Like that's what you said. Like he's probably already on the radar. I think we've got a few of those, even at the Rising Stars level.
Make no mistake. I mean, they call it fighting, but this is show business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you don't have to just be good in the cage. I mean, there are so many fighters in the UFC that were great in the cage, but you don't remember who they are because that's all they, you know what I mean? They just performed in the cage. They weren't a Ronda Rousey or even a Pargav. You know what I mean? Like, coming out and making you either love them or you hate them, but you have to make up your mind.
You have to watch them. When they're fighting, you got to.
Yeah, you have to watch.
Yeah.
And it's not always just a fight. Like, and listen, I try to, the skill should pay the bills, right? Like, and, you don't want to just, promote someone just because they're good at trash talking. People have eyes on them, but they're not great at fighting. But you got to be able to have both. And my dad preaches to all these guys, and I try to preach to them too. It's like, you're your own brand. You're your own business.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have to be the most brash guy and like do things you don't want,
Right.
Don't go out of your own personal character, but you do got to post on social media and you have to get yourself out there.
Yeah.
Now, whether you're this crazy guy who gets 10 million followers or maybe someone who just, creates this fan group that wants to watch you, but without them knowing anything about you, you're just never going to get to that superstardom. You're not going to have the potential to even get there.
Right.
So
I mean, just a quick story. You guys all know who's known as the greatest of all time in combat sports.
John Jones.
No, not
Connor.
No, Muhammad Ali.
Oh,
okay.
okay. Boss.
The GOAT. So when Muhammad Ali was still Cassius Clay, he was fighting at the Olympic Auditorium, and Jean LaBelle's mom gave him a button that said the greatest of all time. She said, you're going to run down to your opponent's gym. The press is going to follow you, and you're going to keep, I'm the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And he said, no, I can't do that, Miss Eaton. I can't do that. And she said, you can and you will. Trust me. And now look what happened. Like just that one little jog to the gym. I'm the greatest of all time, showing up in his opponent's gym. I'm going to beat you. You know what I mean?
No,
like it created a juggernaut, and it wasn't just Muhammad Ali's boxing skills that made him the greatest of all time.
Well, a skill's a piece of it. I mean, again, when you asked, I said Conor McGregor because at the end of the day, do I think Conor McGregor is just this amazing MMA fighter, the best, the GOAT? No, I don't. But I do think he's the GOAT in the way of building that brand, talking that trash, and creating this huge fan base and this interest in him and everything he does.
And he came out of nowhere, too.
Yeah.
Like, he won 2 fights, and next thing you know, everybody in Vegas, all of Ireland is showing up to Vegas. Like, he wasn't even a contender yet, So it was so much of his in-ring personality and his out-of-cage personality that just brings it.
And it's good for these international fighters or, guys that aren't from America necessarily. I don't see Americans getting behind their American fighters as much, right? If Johnny Vasquez got to UFC, had 3 great performances, all of Mexico's going to be behind this guy.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why is that? Like,
it's
why is
so
it that
strange.
Americans, we don't get as behind our athletes or our fighters like, Armenians and Hispanics and things like that? Why is that, John?
I don't know. I think because the United States is such a melting pot, you know what I mean? Like you have baseball fans, you have football fans, and they're just as ardent as fight fans are, but they're ardent about the Jets. I say the Jets because we suck, but the Jets or the Rams or the Niners, you know what I mean? Or the Dodgers. Like, you ever go to a Dodger game wearing an opponent's jersey?
You're going to get your ass kicked.
It's not going to be pretty. I'll tell you that much. So I think because of the culture of the United States, and we have so many different avenues to watch sports, football, baseball.
Right. Yeah.
And there is a lot of American fighters too. Like, when you do, I mean, a lot of ranked Brazilian fighters in the UFC, but if you really look at a lot of other countries, maybe have like 1 or 2 or 3 guys that are really at the top. There are a decent amount of American fighters, I think.
And another thing is, I think in the United States, we kind of look up to businessmen more than we look up to fighters. You know what I mean? Like, in other countries, like, these people are fighting for their lives every day. So they admire that kind of fighter. In the United States, we're coddled to death. We get Stouffer's macaroni and cheese in the microwave and Starbucks Frappuccinos at the drop of a hat, So I think we're somewhat coddled to the point where we're not as ardent as the multicultural fighters from different countries. Dagestan, for example. These guys fight for their food every day. You know what I mean? So like they look up to a guy, Khabib, who's made it past that. And it's like idolatry almost.
But in some of these countries, fighting is that way out, right?
Yep.
Whereas America is that land of opportunity where you can make a good living doing a lot of different things. But in some of these other countries, fighting, because this is what they know, what they've been trained to do all their lives, they look at this as their way to make it big and be successful.
America used to be a TikTok star. You can ask Shirel.
Yeah, we got
Shirel,
Shirel.
what are you going to do when TikTok gets banned in the United States? I mean, Trump is
Instagram.
okay. I'm just saying, Trump is talking about banning TikTok.
It's not gonna get.
You don't think it's going to get banned?
She talked to President Trump.
I made sure he's not gonna ban it.
You already talked to him. Your people talk to his people or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
By her people are us. Who talked to him? Anyways,
She talked to the owner of the UFC.
let's get to the next fight. So our main event of the night: Albert Morales for Cisco. Albert Morales retaining his title. Cisco retiring. What a legend of the sport. Kind of sad to see him go out that way in a sense, but you know what a career Cisco had. I'm happy he ended it with us. Yeah. What are some words for Cisco, guys, or his career and just everything?
I was talking to Cisco a little bit about the weight loss, and even before the fight, I think he kind of knew. He's like, listen, I'm 43 years old. It's really difficult to make that weight. And Cisco's not a 155er. He's just not. He's not big enough. He's got 30 professional fights. You know what I mean? Like, what else is left? What else is left? He's got a title. He's got his health. Thank God. He's got it. He's still sharp. He's not punchy in any way. So why not get out when you're still fresh?
Yeah, I mean, I got the feeling that he was ready to retire, right? And I think at the end of the day, when you have a storied career like Cisco, it was time.
Yeah.
If you're not at the top of your game anymore, I think it's time to go. And Cisco has done so much for the sport, especially locally here in Southern California. And then what better way to go out against Albert Morales, who is working his way back to the UFC.
Yeah. I mean, Ernest Hemingway once said to his friend, he said, if I can't go out on my own terms, I don't want to go out at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Cisco did is he didn't win the fight, but he went out on his own terms. You know what I mean? Yep. He went out just like he came in, throwing bombs, and every fight in between, that's what Cisco does is he tried to take your head off. And there's nothing more entertaining than watching a guy who's trying to take his opponent's head off. He's not trying to beat him. He's trying to destroy him.
Take the head off those shoulders, man. Like his fight against Cody Gibson.
Oh my
gosh.
Man. And that's what's crazy. He dropped Cody, 2 or 3 times in that fight. I mean, bad. And Cody's just a dog and, just weathered the storm. And then, Cody got the call to the UFC.
And he got a big win, I think, at his last show.
He's like 3-1 now in the UFC.
Yeah.
Since going back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the champ who retained his title, Albert Morales. I love Albert, man. I love his attitude. I love what he's fighting for, his purpose. He was already at the big show once. Not there anymore, obviously, but fighting with us. Now UNF champ, I think on a 4 or 5 fight win streak, right? And he's really itching back to get him back there. And he's not going to let anything stop him, which is great. Like, he's so locked in.
Yeah. I think what's kind of cool is, he was our first UNF champion. And to see him come back and win the belt. And again, here's another guy that I think, I didn't see this in Albert's eyes when he won the belt the first time with us. I see it now. I see this focus and the determination and this grit and desire to get back to the big show. He seems again like he's fighting for something bigger. And he and his, the Samurai squad, him, Anthony Romero, and Samurai, those dudes are close.
Yeah.
And it just really seems like there's this bond between them that they're very focused to get to the UFC.
Yeah, that Black House Samurai crew is really, really tight knit. I was blessed enough to put the amateur title around Albert's waist when he won his first amateur title. I was interviewing him at LFA when someone came over and tapped on the shoulder and said, "You got to stop the interview. They wanted to see him in the back." And that's when Dana met him and brought him into the UFC. So
That's awesome.
my career's kind of
Look at John throwing names around again.
Names like
Dana,
John Keek is
this guy. John, we know you're one of the goats of the business. We know.
No.
Yeah, supposedly knows Nick Diaz doesn't have his phone number.
Our Dana's. Shirel knows more people than he does. I'm just saying.
But Albert's career and my career have kind of interlaced since the beginning. He's fought at pretty much every organization I've worked for, and watching him get to the UFC was such a prideful thing for me because it was like seeing a guy that I knew had started nowhere. I mean, the guy used to watch UFC fights when he was in jail, for God's sakes. He didn't know anything about it. And when he got out, he said, "I'm not going back in. I'm not going back in. And this is the way to make sure that I don't do it." And he's had an up and down career. A lot of people that don't have the mental fortitude, they would have quit, and said, I'll go work a construction job or something like that. He's got kids to feed. You know what I mean? He's not a solo flyer. He's not he's got kids to feed. He's got a family to take care of. And his best way to do that is to get back to the UFC doing what he does now. And like Kris said, I hadn't seen that fire in his eyes since he was in LFA getting that title, getting called up to the UFC, where he blitzed his opponent in like 18 seconds or something like that. So he really is a well-rounded scrapper. He's just got to put it all together. And when he puts it all together, it's very bad for his opponent.
Yeah, I think he's put it together these last 2 fights, right? Against Strader, great performance. Now with Cisco. And he called for that Cisco fight. And I thought it was a very calculated move on his part, because I feel like, hey, I fight a legend, a big name. Again, gets on the UFC's radar.
Yeah, I think he might be 1 fight away.
Yeah, I agree.
But he's definitely on their radar. And I would not be surprised if he got like a short notice call.
That's what I've been telling my pops. I was like, I really could see, 2 weeks, an opponent falls out and Albert gets that call to step up on like a 2 weeks notice.
Yeah, I could see that definitely happening. I wouldn't want it to,
right?
Because I would want him to get a full camp in, knowing who his opponent is.
I know Albert's I just want Albert to get the opportunity. However it comes, I want him to get the opportunity because I know he's ready for it. I know he's waiting for it. And I know he's staying ready right now, right? Like he doesn't take days off. Like it's like fight camp all the time for those guys that train with Brazilian Samurai.
Well, I think Samurai's is keeping them ready because they expect that last minute call. Actually, I know with UFC coming in January to LA, I think they're really hoping that they get on that card.
Yeah, and like Ryan just said, a short notice fight is definitely an opportunity for Albert.
Look, I mean, at the end of the day, you want a full camp, you want to be able to prepare for that opponent, but you got to step up like Taco Padilla did and take it while it's there for you.
I mean, even when Albert was in the UFC, he fought guys like Thomas Almeida. I mean, he did not pick and choose his opponents.
No. And even I talked to Albert. Albert, said he wasn't necessarily ready for the UFC at that time. Obviously, the opportunity came in. You don't decline the fucking call of the UFC. But he feels like he's a lot more ready now and could do some damage now. So
I actually kind of believe that. When I see Albert and I see this focus and determination, I see a guy that is very determined to get there.
Yeah, he's always been extremely explosive, but I think he's now well-rounded and still maintains that explosiveness. So I think he's probably a better fighter now than he ever has been.
Do you agree with that, Shirel?
I agree with that, right?
Are you sure?
I do.
You're being pretty quiet over there, Shirel. Do you have anything to say about Albert?
Well, you talked to Albert, right? So maybe don't talk about his fighting skills, but what do you think about Albert as a person? Because I love the guy, honestly. I think he talks so highly of all the UNF team. He reps us. So what's it like dealing with Albert with medicals? What's he like?
I was going to say he's very easy. I mean, he was out of town and I was really worried. I was like, please get your medicals done. The second he got back, he sent me a picture at the office. He's like, I'm here. I'm getting it done. I was like,
oh, the picture confirmation. That's good. You don't get that too often.
I don't get that. I don't even get an answer.
Well, one thing too, I think Albert is a champion in another way. All the UNF ladies, my wife, Christina, love Albert Morales. They just love him, David Rojas, Albert Morales.
They love them more than they love me and you.
Oh, that's definitely for sure. But can you blame them?
No, not really. I love Albert. I love David. I love all the guys.
All right, let's get to the last talk about the last fight, Ryan.
Let's get to the last talk about
the last fight. It's been a long time. That's why I'm stuttering and losing my words.
There's just so much
Can we talk about the next fight?
Yeah. Well, this goes with. I only want to introduce it. Let's just put the clip on. Kris, it's the last clip. Do I need to say the names, or can you play it? You're the man, Kris.
Go, Kris.
Kris is the best.
Those hands from Puga are absolutely deadly.
They are fast and they are lethal.
And to the body.
Here.
Flying knee there by Dow, and now the heat starts to answer, and the heat is on. The H is O. It's on the street.
Oh, look at that jab. Oh my God.
You saw the 1, 2, 3 just flow, right? All right, guys. So that was knockout of the night for UNF 21.
Yeah,
Roman Puga, earned and deserved. I think there was many great knockouts, just like Anthony Romero was on the card. Patrick Becker also. But if you take the level of opposition also into account, fighting a savage like Brian Dow, putting him out like that, it was a no-brainer to give it to Roman Puga.
No, and let's call him by his real name, Roman Pugilist. Okay? Because take the word pugilist and, it's
Puga,
the root. Puga's the base of it. So Roman, the gladiator, ancient Rome, Gabriel, the archangel, and pugilist, you put those three together, and boy, you get one hell of a badass, don't you?
John, you're really getting deep here, bro.
You're confusing
Sherelle
the
is
shit out of me.
confused. Sherelle's going, "Ooh, what's it?
I don't know about the brain capacity,
Me
but
too.
yeah.
I'm very confused.
No, but I get. I thought I saw where he was going.
So let me keep it simple for everybody. I mean, the skill set showing, Roman looked almost as good as the clip that Shirel is showing on Instagram of her like striking at hustle striking.
Yeah.
Almost that good.
Almost.
Did you
think
teach? You taught him that? Was that you?
Yeah, I taught him some moves.
Oh, nice.
Weigh-ins.
Yeah,
Sure, I'll
I mean,
teach
but
you
that video speaks for itself. Like the boxing was so crisp, and again against someone like Brian Dow, who is one of our signed fighters and someone we believe in. I think a lot of people do believe in. I think has a great future in the sport.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
But
man,
Brian Dow fighting the toughest people.
Yeah.
Too. Again, another guy that just steps up and doesn't say no. That is just fighting.
yeah, he's
the
not like
toughest
you when I ask you to spar and you say no.
Listen, dude,
not like
back
you.
in my day, in my prime, I would have
Fucked me up.
yes,
Yeah, or whatever.
for sure. Now you want to take on the old guy that is in his 50s now.
No, I don't want to mess with. I'm just kidding.
You know,
I see you guys in the office. Chris looks like he still has it.
I got a
Looks
little
like he can
something.
take you down.
I got a shout out to Shirel because you must have shown Roman Puga something because those strikes looked effortless.
Listen.
I mean, you must have taught him some something. I don't know but
Yeah,
God,
we went off the rails there, and it was my fault. But Roman just looked amazing. Just looked extremely calculated. His striking was super clean.
yeah, but
Super effective.
it looked like someone told him what was going to happen beforehand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he was just like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and boom, boom, and it's
Well, it also
yeah.
seemed right from when that bell started. There was no mistakes, right? Like nothing was wasted. Everything thrown seemed calculated or measured, and he just seemed so locked in.
Yeah, I mean, as an amateur, the kid was a top prospect.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to fight him.
Yep.
So after he turned pro, I remember talking to him. I was like, where have you been? He's like, nobody wants to fight me. So he started fighting boxing, and I actually called 3 of his boxing matches at 2 of them at Commerce. Very crisp striker, very relaxed puncher. And he always seems like he's on a different level than his opponent. Like he knows something they don't. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And he's a super nice guy.
Oh
too.
yeah,
super
sweetheart.
nice.
Both of them are. Brian Dow too, and hats off to Brian the Heat Dow. He is, I would say, probably top 3 at most entertaining fighters in the UFC roster. Win or lose or draw, this guy comes to entertain. And it wasn't his night, unfortunately, but I think that's a testament to how good Roman Puga actually is.
Yeah, you got to interview Roman, right? How was that interview?
It was good, just like all the other ones.
Yeah,
Nothing special about it. Just
nothing special.
Roman's a very nice guy. He's very respectful.
Did he ever mention anything? Or no?
But not that time.
I love this. I love UNF.
we'll leave it
Listen, I
at
think
that.
UNF 21 was definitely one of our best events ever. And I don't know, and it's crazy because I've been saying this about all the events we've done recently, right? Like, how do we top UNF 21?
It just keeps
Just
getting
wait till
better.
UNF 22, baby. But yeah, no, I think listen, I think we got to just keep building on what we have. We have a great model. We have great talent. We're gonna keep expanding, and we'll end up topping it. But I'm still on a high from last Saturday, to be honest. I've been getting great feedback from the fighters, fans, and just everyone involved. So it was a great night, and we'll definitely top it soon. But
Listen,
I don't know if we can top it, honestly. I think we're at the point now where we just do what we do, and every show is right next to each other. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if one show is better than the next, to be honest with you. I guess we should ask the fans, but, every show we do is absolutely freaking packed with people, bloodthirsty, going crazy. This time we had signs in the air and stuff like that. I've been to a lot of shows, big and small, and I was extremely blown away by the response from the fans at this show.
yeah, well, if there's one thing I've learned from this, guys, we're gonna keep our pedal to the metal and always get bigger and always get better. And we'll figure it out for sure. But yeah, I couldn't be happier with how.
yeah, we can't get fat, dumb, and happy. But I think that the thing is the chemistry of the team, right? Like from the beginning, the matchmaking.
All of us.
We do have really good chemistry, right? I like to give you guys shit all the time, but at the end of the day, I don't think there's a team, especially at this level, that can match us. Really what we're doing.
No.
The matchmaking's insane. The support that the fighters get from you, Shirel, with ticketing and, everything else. I don't feel like, there's anybody regionally that can touch us. And then the commentary, like who's better than John and Todd, right?
I mean, Todd's really good, John.
That's probably true.
Who do you know?
But
Who's the most famous person on your phone, bro?
I will.
This guy's been watching too many TikToks.
Yeah, well, listen, because of Shirel, I do watch TikTok now, and I'm into
I have some
Instagram.
famous people on my phone. I'm just not.
Who do
gonna
you
share.
have? Who's the most famous person?
Probably David Arquette.
Okay.
Is that another person that us young people shouldn't know?
She's in the Scream movies. You saw the Scream movies, right? I don't know. But
I think Shirel probably has a bigger name than you, and I'm just guessing.
oh, she definitely.
I definitely have. I probably have the biggest. Maybe not. All right, whatever. Who cares? I'm over it.
I think you have the biggest name.
Who's the
Listen, Ryan's an undercover pimp, bro. Like this
got
guy,
Oprah.
like,
Pretty close.
Yeah.
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 You're in a book club. I know
We'll
it.
save that. We'll save that for another episode. But all right. So the fans really need to buy the pay-per-view. Go back and watch UNF 21. If you weren't there, you didn't watch pay-per-view, go back. It's going to be worth every penny.
Yeah, seriously, it would be the best money you spent. We showed you guys some clips, so you have some tidbits of what you're going to see. But the fights were great.
Yeah, and even more importantly, follow Shirel on TikTok, right? Where can they follow you on TikTok, Shirel?
On TikTok with my username.
What is the username?
SSHIRELBBITON.
Now she comes out.
Why'd
Of
you
it.
say
No, look at her smile.
Why'd you say it? She like sang it. She didn't even just say it. She sang it.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, yeah.
So how many followers do you have on TikTok? I'm just
I
wondering.
think now 90,000.
90K, nice. John, how many followers do you have?
I don't even know what a TikTok is. I have like 1,000 followers.
Yeah, me too. I got like
I
1,000.
think I have 86 on TikTok.
And they're all fighters.
Anyways. All right, I think it's time to wrap this thing up. Guys, if you want to go watch UNF 21, starfun.stream, go check it out. And then, guys,
If you want to see me and more podcasts, like, subscribe.
no, but seriously, if you guys like the content, like this podcast, like me and him talking shit to each other all the time, and all the amazing guests we always have on, like, follow, subscribe. Chris, did I miss anything else I need to say? Was that good?
Chris is giving us
Chris
the
said that
thumbs
was
up.
good, so
Good
we're
job,
good.
Chris. Thank you, Chris.
All right, so I think we're good.
Let's go. Woo!
I always like mentioning Chris. I always think it's funny.
I did too.
Yeah, Chris,
Gotta
get
get on
your
my
mic over there.